Live from beautiful downtown Bastrop, it's time for the Stage Select, starring Julian Titus and Justin Ham.
What could this possibly be? Seems a lot like a podcast. Wonder what specifically talking about video games. With your hosts, you're in good hands. Not more of the same. Now we'll jump right in. So expect the unexpected and more. Now we'll get grooving. There ain't always gonna walk through the door. There just might be some strategy in this. Just having fun with a special guest. Time for Stage Select.
And featuring I Valley. And here are your hosts, Julian Titus and Justin Ham.
Welcome, one and all, to the Stage Select. I'm Julian Titus.
And I'm Chase Sutherland. I mean, Justin Ham. I'm Justin Ham. I'm sorry. I forgot who I was for a second.
Yeah, it'll happen.
Sometimes I think I'm Chase Sutherland. It's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Chase Sutherland enjoys talking about motorsports,
Okay.
especially sprint car racing. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's real into
Okay.
it. Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah, you know, you gotta, you take the wing off of a sprint car sometimes, Julian. It doesn't drive the same. I don't know if you knew that. Some of them are good without it. Some of them not so good. It's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just always thought of it as being decorative.
Yeah, no, it serves a purpose, apparently.
Huh.
Yeah.
You learn something new every day.
Yeah. Well, enough about Chase Sutherland. What are we doing?
I like this idea though. Like sort of like I don't know how much you've followed like South Park, but like Butters had like there's an episode where his parents like take him in for like psychiatric evaluation because like he has all these personas for when he's playing, and
right.
they think there's something wrong with him because he has like Professor Chaos but he's also got like Detective Butters and all these other people, and the psychiatrist is like, who am I speaking to right now? Well, I'm Butters. It's like, can I talk to Detective Butters? Well, sure. And he thinks it's just he's just having fun,
Right.
but like the doctor is like very concerned.
Right.
Yes, we are a video game variety show, and we are back with some housekeeping stuff to address right off the bat. We have come up with the first two games to vote for the new Patreon exclusive series, Suffer Select.
Yeah.
And Justin, would you like to announce the first two games that people can vote for?
Yep, I would. And I'm glad we did it early because I would have forgotten.
No, I know.
No, this is good.
Yes.
I would like to. First, we would like to. This is the tone we're going for. The first game is called BB and Tina: Adventures with Horses.
Not a porn game.
No,
just a regular.
They're
bad
going to
game.
go on adventures with horses. It's going to be good.
Yeah,
it can't be bad.
Non-sexual adventures. I just want to make that clear.
I mean that's pretty clear.
His fingers on that button.
Thinking about it. We'll have to ask the judges after this. And the next one is a game called Panda Hero. Yep.
Yeah.
You may have to look that one up on Steam. You might have to look them both up to decide which one is right for you or not. You're an adult. You can make your own decisions. But yeah.
And there will be a vote on the Patreon page. So I've done a little restructuring to the Patreon. So and I thought for this episode, if you want to vote for the Suffer Select games, anybody can do that. So even for as low as $1, like the lowest tier, you can go on and you'll be able to see this post and vote for that. So, if it's something that you were thinking about checking out, that's an easy way to check out what we've got. And this first episode of the Suffer Select will be available to the $1 tier patrons, just to kind of give you guys an idea of what we're going for and what it's going to, because right now we're not even quite sure like what structure it's going to take until we have played the terrible game that you vote for.
Yeah.
And, meet to discuss it, right?
I mean, I'll play all of it, and Julian can just be there if he wants. I don't even mind. Like, I'll just take the hit. It's fine.
Well, I think there's different ways depending on like how it goes. Like we'll try different formats. Like definitely, for this first one, I think we'll both play it. But there might be one where like I'm just watching you play it, or you're watching me play it, or we're recording like the actual session, like a Let's Play thing.
Yeah, we could.
There's a lot of things that we can do with Suffer Select.
Yeah.
Also, I have made it to where anybody paying on the Patreon gets access to the show early now on Mondays.
Yeah.
Originally, like the $1 tier, the key grip tier was just for, it was like a tip jar.
Right.
But I was like, like you should get something for that. So, and again, that's like a really nice way of like, kind of tipping your hat to us and saying, hey, I like what you guys do. And it's not a big commitment, but also you get the show 2 days early. And possible other things down the road. There'll be other bonus episodes that get unlocked for the $1 tier, but usually it's going to be like the $3 tier and up that gets you the extra shows. But just kind of keep that in mind. I'm really excited for this. I think this could be a lot of fun. I know personally the reason that I'm so antsy for Justin to bring This Is Video Games back is because I derive a perverse pleasure from hearing him suffer.
Yeah.
It puts a big smile on my face.
Yeah.
And I figured,
I don't know. BB and Tina Adventures with Horses, I might have a good time with. You don't know. I might.
You might.
Yeah, I might have a good time. Those adventures might be something. We don't know.
Yeah. And there's multiple BB and Tina adventures.
Yeah. See, this is the thing. So if we play BB and Tina Adventures with Horses now, there's also BB and Tina More Adventures with Horses, which is the sequel, I believe. But I don't know. We can't play it until we play the first adventures, or else we're not going to know what's going on. Like, that's just how that works. But
conversely, Panda Hero looks like unmitigated garbage. Like you look at the trailer and it's like, it looks like it feels bad to play.
Yeah. No, it looks miserable. So I would not blame anybody for voting for that. I get it. But the choice is yours, patrons. Yep.
A couple other things that are just more of like personal requests from Julian. Consider subscribing to the show in your podcatcher of choice if you like it. I have no way of knowing how many people are subscribed to the show, but what I do know is that on Wednesday mornings, like when I first check the numbers, it's usually around like 15 people, which I'm assuming are people that are subscribed to the show, and it automatically downloads to their players right then. And then it invariably goes up throughout the week. But it would be nice to see that number like go up, because I also feel that like that's probably most of the people that are also the patrons. So that makes me feel that we actually only have like 8 people subscribing to the show or something.
Yeah.
And so that would be helpful. Like it's weird to say like like, comment, and subscribe on a podcast, but maybe some of you are actually just like I freely admit that like for the last like few months, I've just been manually downloading the Jeff Gerstmann show because I was like, I don't know if I actually want to resubscribe to this show because he kind of rambles when he's by himself, but I also routinely run out of stuff to listen to. And then I was like, you know what? I'll just go ahead and resubscribe because like I've been doing it every week for a while anyway. So it's fine. Your podcatcher like automatically downloads it? That's kind of weird. Mine just like tells you that it's there. Oh no. Yeah. I use Overcast, and like all the stuff that I'm subscribed to, like it'll automatically download like every time that like I don't know how often it auto refreshes, but I do know that like so I'm subscribed to our podcast obviously because I want to be able to monitor it, and so it goes live at 6 a.m. my time, and so by the time that I wake up and start work, I look at my podcatcher and it's already there.
Right? Yeah, and that makes sense. No,
sometimes I do have to refresh it.
Yeah, mine doesn't do that. Mine's Podcast Addict, and Podcast Addict doesn't automatically do it. It will just
interesting.
It will show you that hey, there's a new episode there. Like it'll show you all the new stuff in kind of in order. Maybe I'm doing it wrong, but that's how it's all. And I've always liked it like that because sometimes I look at something and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to download that.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll look at it and delete if I'm not interested, but because you definitely can on Overcast, you can select to not have it auto download.
Okay, all right.
But I just prefer it that way because it also keeps everything in chronological order.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'll just kind of go down the list.
I just do it myself because I'm crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And then one last little bit of housekeeping. consider joining the Discord. I am really pleased to say that after last week's episode where we went really deep on all of the Microsoft Xbox shit, that it spawned a really nice discussion in the Discord.
I've been looking at a lot of that. It was nice. Yes.
Yeah. Nobody, just saying like, "Oh, you're a stupid piece of shit, Julian." For
it was actually a lot of people being like, "Yeah," and bringing up other good points. It's good. It's good stuff.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah.
And I would love to see it be even more active and let's meet some new listeners. So don't be shy. The Discord link is in the link tree in the show description, so you can check out all of our stuff there.
Or just be like me and subscribe to it, and then just look at what other people say.
Yeah. You can also be the Eye of Sauron like Justin.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm just
always watching, never interacting.
Occasionally, I'll post a music. That's what I'll do.
Yeah,
I'm gonna post a music that's not a video game thing soon, and it's just for Julian, but you can all listen to it too.
You could just text me the link, but that's fine. Gotta be public. Okay,
it's actually pretty cool.
I'm sure,
and it's video game adjacent, so it'll be fine.
That's fine. I like that you said I post a music.
Yeah, post the music. One music.
Yeah. Can I have one music, please?
Yeah, one music, please.
That's the type of dialogue I'm expecting from something like BB and Tina Adventures with Horses.
I hope so. See, that's the thing. One game looks awful to play, and the other might have a story. So if you want to hear a narrative, BB and Tina Adventures with Horses is the game you want to pick there. I'm not campaigning for either. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a bad time either way. I already know that for a fact.
I'll laugh. It's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
I think it is going to be fun. So, and I am looking forward to it. And also I think that I've done this because, I worked in retail, and then also I reviewed what was, sometimes you don't get to choose what you review when you're writing for a website. Right.
Right.
And I think sometimes people, the type of people who will say that something like, oh, what's a good example? What's a recent example? I don't know, what's Rise of the Ronin, right? That's a game that's like a kind of a B tier game where I'll see people be like, oh man, this game sucks. This is really this is a bad game or something. It's like, I don't think you know what a bad game is. I don't that tells me that you have not played an actual bad game.
No, right, exactly. Yeah.
And sometimes it's good to, there's a lot of ways to play bad games for free or for not a lot of money, with certain subscription things and stuff like that. So sometimes it's a good way of resetting your expectations for stuff. When you play something that's actual trash, it's oh, it could be so much worse. Game, and you kind of realize how games are actually at a much higher overall quality than they ever have been. It's.
Maybe the Super Select will finally make me learn how to stream.
Maybe. That's definitely an option.
I'm already thinking about it now because I've been thinking about it a long time, and
I would definitely watch you play games.
Yeah, I know I might try to do it tomorrow because you know what, nobody's in my house. By the time people listen to this, it'll be too late to see it. But I know what I want to. You know what, I might try to do. So Julian, I haven't had a chance to do it yet, but American Truck Simulator.
Okay,
it exists. It's still there.
Nebraska is coming out. I know that
it's out.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I feel like you need to put up or shut up with that, right? You've kind of put this on yourself. You have to play.
What a miserable state. And I could go driving in it. I got some trucks. I could do it.
Yeah.
I have to turn off the radio, which is the best part of the game, because it's fun listening to terrible pop radio while you drive around. But we'll make do. It'll just be me and the hum of the road, I guess.
The funny thing is that if they made the brand deal with Transformers and you could play as classic Generation 1 Optimus as your truck, I would actually buy that.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be good. All the DLC costs a lot of money. But then again, but you get a whole state.
Yeah, it's obviously a successful business model for them, right? Like they've been doing these for years.
Yeah. And they also put out like truck stuff that you can do, but I don't care about any of that. They're like, you want a dragon on your truck? And I'm like, yeah, but not, I don't even want to pay $1 for it. Like, that's how much it is. I could put a dragon on my truck if I paid $1.
Is there like a manual, like logo editor in the game?
No, unfortunately there is not.
Oh, wow.
You kind of just get like some default like stuff that you can put on there. And that's about it. I could buy the Volvo construction equipment DLC for $350. Haul some Volvo dump trucks.
There you go.
I don't like hauling around dump trucks and stuff because they're very wide and it's a whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
You get on an on ramp and then you're like, man, this sucks.
Yeah,
it's not great. Fucking man, oh my god, I'm looking at this fucking Nebraska trailer and I'm just getting upset.
I feel like you should do that.
Yeah, I might do it. Like I said, if you're listening to this, and it might happen, we'll see. Nobody will watch it. That's fine. But it'll be me learning how to do it.
If you put it in the Discord that you were about to do it, like I will. You'd get people,
I will. So that's why you should join the Discord. Maybe I'll be playing terrible games. Maybe I'll just go through my library and play terrible games.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
All right. Well, that's it for housekeeping and stuff like that. Again, thanks, for listening to the show and all that good stuff.
Yeah. Indeed.
I think I will start off because I've actually got kind of a lot of games to talk about this week.
That's good.
I've got a lot of games to say a little bit about.
Okay, so, that's good.
Yeah, I don't know how much of these are going to go into like deep conversations or anything like that.
I don't think it matters. It'll be okay.
Yeah, it'll be a show.
Yeah, but, it'll be a show. It doesn't have to be 3 hours, Julian. It can just. Be
I know. Yeah,
it's fine.
Yeah. Last week's episode, if it wasn't for the Xbox talk and Sherwin Williams, it would have been under 2.
Yeah, probably, which is fine.
Yeah. It's kind of what we set this show up for.
Yeah.
Is like we talk until we don't feel like talking anymore.
Yeah, no.
And then that's the show.
We could end right now if we wanted. We're not gonna, but we could.
We could, yeah. One of these days, we probably will do something like that.
We should do it. We should call. You should call my bluff sometime. That's what we should do. And then everybody will be like, "Wow, that episode's only like 15 minutes. What happened?" And they'll be like, "Oh, he did it. They did it.
Yeah.
They did the thing."
So I finished Harold Halibut.
Okay.
Which is now the third 2024 game that I have finished so far this year. The stack continues to, compound for this year's releases.
Yeah,
but
I hear you.
I'm hoping to start whittling it down.
Me too.
I think, where am I right now? Yeah, probably I need to go back to Rebirth. I think that's probably the next thing once I'm done with Elden Ring.
I am in a weird, I am sorry to steal this.
No. Go ahead.
I am in such a weird place with that exact game right now because all week I've made a pact with myself that I'm not allowed to play almost anything until I finish that. And it's gone so far as that I put my phone background as Aerith so that I will constantly be reminded to play fucking Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, I got to do that. I got to know what happens. And then I'm like, okay, I'll be at work. I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go home and fire up Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And every day I go home and I go, I don't fucking feel like doing that every day. And I don't know what that says about the game. Other than I don't know.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Is it so close to the original game that you kind of feel like you don't need to mess with it because you've done the original game so much?
You hit the nail on the head right there. That's exactly where I was going. Where I'm like, I
was expecting something much different than this.
Right. It's so close to the script that I'm kind of like, yeah, I know all this stuff already. It's like the director's cut of it or some shit. Like there's like, here's all the stuff we didn't get to add because the man wouldn't let us.
It is very much the Star Wars special edition of Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, it's
actually that's pretty apt because also
honestly,
the stuff they've added is stuff where I'm like, you didn't need this.
Yeah,
like,
right.
All of the like new characters that have been added are so unfiltered Tetsuya Nomura in a way that I really can't stand. And I'm just like, I don't need any of these asshats in this game.
I'm kind of with you a lot of that, but like I know I want to finish it, and I wasn't having a bad time playing it, but it's just kind of like, but I know where it's going, and there's certain parts where like, even when I played the original game, like everybody has this one that you go back to a game, even no matter how much you love it, where you're like, oh man, that one part's coming up, fuck.
No, absolutely.
Everybody has that. And like that constantly goes through my head. I'm like, oh man, I gotta go through fucking Coral Mountain. Fuck, I always hated Coral Mountain. I don't know why I hated that spot. It's not even that bad.
Well, but it's of equal quality comparatively in Rebirth.
Yeah.
To the original. It's like, oh no, this is just as slow and slightly annoying as I remember.
Right. Yeah,
like,
there's something
just in a different way.
There's something about it that was slow and kind of like I'm dreading Temple of the Ancients.
Yeah.
I always hated Temple of the Ancients. It's a great part in the story of the game. It's a miserable part to play through. I don't know what it is about that fucking, but there's shit like, and it's so close to the script, and I know all that stuff's in there that I'm kind of like, oh man, that's gonna happen, and then I gotta do all that, and I'm like, oh man, and
there, let's be clear, there are things in Rebirth where it's going in. It's like, oh, that's an interesting thing,
absolutely,
but
100%.
It's so few and far between,
right?
That it's like, it's a kind of a weird thing.
Yeah.
I definitely feel
that's
that
that's kind of where, and that's kind of what I go back to. And I because I had been doing some thinking about that. I was like, I feel like that's almost to its detriment that it's so close to the original, because the first one, like, continuously veered off a lot. Like it would kind of get back on track sometimes, and then all of a sudden it'd be like, what the fuck is this? That's weird.
Yeah.
It was just,
and again, at the time I really hated that, but then once, like after I finished it and then thinking about it for a couple of years, I was like, oh no, now I understand what they were going for.
It's kind of neat. It's kind of neat what they were going for. Yeah.
But then with Rebirth, it almost feels like they're backpedaling on that, like,
it's weird.
In a really ridiculous, like a really over the top way. And I'm like, okay, now I really don't know what the purpose of this thing is.
And that might be completely intentional to like throw you off the scent, right?
Maybe by the time we get to the end, we're like, holy shit.
Right. Yeah. Because it starts out weird. Like Rebirth starts out very strange. So like and I want to see the rest of it. I want to see where it's going. But also, I think if they had done just like a true one-to-one remake where they just improved the graphics and retranslated it, and it was like one game, I would have been fine with that, because I would have just like played it through in 60 hours and been like, that's kind of all I needed, right? Exactly.
But now there's different expectations coming off of the first game, and
it's a strange place for that game, at least for me.
No, I agree.
So you nailed it. Anyway, you finished Harold Halibut.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm really glad that I played Harold Halibut. I will reiterate what I said last time, which is that it is very much and I guess, the game definitely goes out of its way to tell you this. The name of the studio is Slow Bros. Okay. So like the game very much wants you to just like slow down and enjoy the game.
Right.
And I actually was kind of I was trying to get all the achievements. I realized that after I finished it that I had missed like the first achievement that you could get, which means that like, I kind of had messed it up for myself anyway, because the hardest achievement to get is to fill out his notebook, because he draws stuff every time that he has a special interaction. And I had missed a couple of those interactions. Yeah. So like that requires you to replay the entire game to get that. So I was like, I'm fine. Yeah. But like there's a part, and it's a side quest. So it's like, you very much don't have to do this, but you're delivering letters, but like you can only deliver one letter at a time. So it is pick up the letter, go find the person, talk to them, have the scene, go back to your room, pick up the next letter. And it's a thing where it's like, I can tell that if I don't do this right now, I'm not going to be able to do this.
Right.
So it was definitely like, you know, I spent probably like a good like hour and a half or 2 hours, like, you know, putting the entire game on pause to go do this. And I'm glad that I did it.
Yeah.
But again, it is very much that type of game.
Right.
And I really enjoyed the characters and kind of the overall vibe of it. It got me a couple times, like emotionally. I don't know that it would. I think I could see a situation where like other people would be like much more affected by this game than me. And it's also a game where I got to the end and I was like, oh, that's it. Cause like it was one of those things where it's like, but I really want to know what happened to these characters after this. Right. Even if it was just like a Fallout style, like this is what happened to this character, blah, 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 you know, something like that, just because like there is enough ambiguity to the ending of the game.
Yeah. That, man, the true final boss of Eiyuden Chronicle is that moment where they do that with all the characters. It is blisteringly fast.
Really?
You gotta read fucking fast, bro. Like, I'm just like, yeah, it's crazy.
They do that on Unicorn Overlord, and it is blisteringly slow.
Yeah.
It is like
it's the opposite. It's the exact opposite.
That ending goes on for like almost an hour.
Yeah, you're almost like, okay, I don't even care anymore. Like on Unicorn Overlord, this one you're like, I was curious. Okay, we're just going, and it's like 3 characters at a time, and they're just like, and you're like, there's no fucking way I'm gonna remember any of that. It's wild.
But even so, I still like that type of stuff,
I do
right?
Too.
Like
I do too.
In Unicorn Overlord, there would be parts where certain characters would say, like, after their death, blah blah blah, and I'm like, that just made me really sad thinking about like a world where like these like the world goes on and these characters grow old and die, and it's like, that actually hit me in a really weird way.
Yeah, no, I hear you. What was the game that Baldur's Gate 3, I when I finished that, it didn't have that, and I really want to go back because I think they added that. They added a lot of epilogue shit, but I was like, I remember being like, that's all the game needed at the end was just that, and it didn't have it. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, that definitely seems like the type of game where it's like, I can't believe that didn't ever there was a time when it didn't have that. Yeah. It's like, no, that seems like a no-brainer that's
seems
what
like
people
a no-brainer.
would want.
Right, yeah. But yeah. But anyway, so it was good though. Yeah, the game.
Yeah, very good. Okay. You know, of the 3 games that I've played, it is number 3.
All right.
Like, you know, we'll see what happens, you know, maybe as I chew on it and stuff like that, like as we get away, you know, and I'm not thinking about like, oh man, yeah, there were some parts where it was just like, because that character moves so slow.
Yeah.
And again, like, I think that's by design, but I think that they could have gotten that vibe across with his run being the default walk speed and his run being slightly faster than that.
Right.
And I think it is very much a game where what you put into it is what you get out of it. So taking the time to go talk to people, even if you're not required to go talk to them,
right, and
getting that extra dialogue and stuff like that is you know, that's kind of what that game is.
Right.
And it's kind of on you, like how much you decide to engage with all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I never got over like how cool it looks. Like I love the fact that, you know, I had put this on Twitter actually before I played Harold Halibut, where I posted screenshots of, I want to say it was like Spider-Man 2, Unicorn Overlord, Hi-Fi Rush, and I forget what and Videoverse. And I was like, I love the fact that like games are here because like all of these games look incredible, but they're all doing different things and like they're all valid. And I think one of my problems lately has been that like, and you know, I'm a graphics snob, don't get me wrong, but like I think people conflate graphics with realism, and it's like, no, good graphics can also be fantastic. Cool and you know, stylized, and a lot of times I prefer that. So you know, like I keep thinking about like some of these recent superhero games where, but what if they looked like the comic book?
Yeah, it'd be cool,
and not the movie versions. Like I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
or like a cartoon version of them, right? Like Ultimate Spider-Man on the PlayStation 2 is still one of my favorite superhero games.
That one had a really cool style at the time. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
absolutely. And then I guess like I'll go into another one, and then we can move over to you.
I guess. I guess we could do that. I don't care. You can just keep going. That's fine.
I played through May for Persona 3 Reload.
Oh, right.
So did all of my May duties.
Okay.
And I don't know. I may or may not check in every month on Persona 3. It kind of depends on if I have stuff to say. I definitely have more stuff to say now because, I'm still early into it.
Yeah.
And I never played Persona 3 before, so it's my first experience with it.
Super fair. Yep.
I don't know how I feel about Persona 3.
Yeah.
Honestly.
No, that is 100% super fair. That is now I will say this about that game. If my memory serves, it has a really kind of slow start. And
That's fair.
And it's very to its kind of its detriment. It's kind of like you got to kind of hang with it for a while. Before it starts to actually pick up in its story, I think. And I could
to be fair, this
wrong.
is the first full month of the game so far.
Yeah.
But obviously my only comparison point right now is Persona 5.
Yeah, which is two games later and a lot of like ideas and improvements. Yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
So I'm trying not to hold that against it, but I am realizing just how much of a refinement Persona 5 is because like, Persona 5, like you're presented with like a goal and like an antagonist right away, right? And
yes,
you very much like kind of have a personal stake in what's going on.
Yep.
Where Persona 3, it's like, well, we have the ability to, move around during the the, I forget what they call it. The
dark hour.
The dark hour.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like with great power comes great responsibility type of thing. It's like, we can do something, so we should do something.
Yep.
And we found this weird tower and we're just going to go explore this tower, but only because it's there, right? Like, there's not really, like, so far there's not a reason to do it. You do get some correlation between as you explore the tower, it seems like there are fewer people getting afflicted with the apathy syndrome.
Right.
Like in the real world. But like there's like no enemy or anything like that.
No, like, it doesn't feel like there's much of a reason to keep going with it. Yeah. I feel like eventually they kind of start to go in a direction with it, but it's been a long time and I never finished it myself. I struggled with the start of the game too. So yeah, at least when I went back to it, I did.
Yeah, and I think I really enjoy, and I'm kind of hoping, because I don't know if this starts with Persona 5 or if Persona 4 has this, but I really like that concept of, the persona being like an aspect of like your true self, and when you're going into like the palaces, like you're seeing like the actual like twisted internals of this person's psyche.
No, that was all 5. That's all 5.
So I hope that is the thing going forward, like because I find that fascinating.
Yeah.
Where, again, this is just kind of like, well, there's monsters, we'll go fight the monsters.
Yeah, like 3 is basically just like whatever the subway part in 5 was. I forgot what that thing is called.
Mementos. Yeah, it's very much
it's basically that. Yeah, that's been and 4 is kind of similar to that if I remember correctly. I never got very far in 4 either. I think I got through the beginning, but 4 to its credit, immediately presents you with an antagonist. Like immediately, it's like, this is a bad thing happening, and you're like, that is a bad thing. We should stop that and figure out what's going on there. So it's a little less mysterious in what you're trying to fight against, I guess.
Going forward, like I said last time, I am playing it with a 100% guide.
Yeah,
and I'm not playing it with that because I want to get all the achievements. I'm playing this on Xbox.
Yeah.
It really is because I want to see all the stuff. I want to get all the social links and stuff like that. Yep. I realized something about the Persona series now playing this, and it made me realize, like, okay, so as much as I enjoy what I've played of Persona, it's never going to end up being like one of my favorite RPG franchises, even as Persona 5 Royal is probably like possibly like a top 10 game for me at this point. But I realized that I am using this guide. Like, this is not how you're supposed to play this game.
No.
Right? So like, I'm going along with the guide and everything. And so it was like, okay, you're going to go as far as you can in Tartarus, in this one night.
Yeah.
Which was like 23 floors or something like that.
Right.
And also you need to have this much money, like by the time, like when you get out. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I was like, I learned from last time. You know, I'm going to pace myself more, and I'm going to be smarter about like triggering shuffle time, getting the extra money when I can, blah,
Right.
blah, blah, right? Fighting extra enemies. Because sometimes I would spend a long enough on a floor where the enemies would repopulate. And I was like, okay, cool. More enemies to fight. So I'll go mop those up, what have you. Oh, and also, continuing off last month, after I did a bunch of stuff like in the real world, I had a bunch of those Twilight fragments. So that actually allowed me to open the chest that I found.
Oh, okay.
And I was actually able to do like use those clocks twice to like completely refresh my party.
Oh, okay.
I went through everything, and it definitely started to become a struggle towards the end where I was like, oh yeah, I'm, you know, like, glad that we're at the end and everything. And, you know, I save before I leave Tartarus. And then I go out, I sit through the story stuff. As soon as I can go sell my stuff, I go sell it. And I'm like 23,000 yen short of where of the minimum. And I'm like, oh, fuck, man. And so I reloaded, I go back in and I basically redid the floors, you know, and I was like, okay, I need to make sure that I at least have like 80,000 in money just on me before I leave. Yeah. And then I'll for sure have 100,000 then, but also probably a little bit extra.
Yeah. It's definitely not made to be played the way those guides are set up a lot of the time.
No, and that's what I was getting to.
Yeah.
And the reason that I need this money is because I need to be able to pay to get specific persona arcana, like when I'm talking to people to make sure that I'm keeping up on their social links.
Yeah.
And it's like, and that I think, and I complained about this on Persona 5 Royal also, that is a complaint that I have of the game or the series is that and I understand this now, they don't want you to see everybody's social links.
They absolutely, you're supposed to, they're kind of shooting for you to miss things and then go back on another playthrough or some shit and see all that
stuff.
They
want you to new game plus this shit.
Absolutely.
And that is insane. Right? These games are so fucking long, Justin.
I know.
Like, that is such a big ask of people.
I know. I'm 100% there with you. Yeah, no way. That's exactly what they go for.
I mean, we talked about this on Nerds Without Pants, so, you know, but like Persona 5 Royal, there's so many times where it's like, just let me go do something. Like, why is this like this whole week, like, it just goes by in a flash and you don't give me any agency.
Nope.
Like, I understand narratively if maybe you don't want me to talk to people.
Right.
But you can at least let me go and like eat a burger to up my courage or do this to up my intelligence, right?
No,
like,
that's Golden Week. Shut up. You can't do anything.
Yeah.
You're hanging
such
out.
Bullshit, dude.
I know.
And like, and it's funny because like I got to a part where it was like, oh, well, maybe I can skip working tonight. I'll miss out on the money, but maybe I can go do this instead. But I'm glad that I didn't do that because I forgot that working that particular job also increases your charm and courage. And I was like, oh, it's a good thing I didn't skip that because that would have fucked me over later, I'm sure. Because you know, the way the guide goes, it's like, well, you need to be at this threshold to be able to talk to this person to start this social link, right? Yeah. Also, not a fan of the soundtrack so far.
Yeah, I heard you say that, and
it's good.
No, here's the thing. Persona 3's soundtrack is always highly praised, and I am kind of with you where I don't think it's that great. It's hip hop. It's Japanese hip hop. It's not like the main battle theme is one a lot of people go on about, and I hate that battle theme. I think it's annoying.
I'm not a fan.
I'm like this song is annoying and not good.
I do enjoy the standard like daytime it's theme.
It's not the worst soundtrack you'll ever hear. It's just one of those things that's so highly like praised by people that sometimes you go in with a different expectation and you're kind of like,
especially coming off of Persona 5 for me.
Oh yeah, 5's is amazing and 4 is pretty good too. 3 is definitely, it's fine. There are really good songs on it that are like, you know, I remember one of our patrons and person who comes on the show, I think Xavier, I think he posted when we did Nerds Without Pants, we had an episode and he put the like one of the final boss themes in there and it was amazing. It's an amazing track.
That I do remember that being awesome.
There's some really good stuff in there. It's just kind of like spread out a little bit and it's not like Persona 5 got to dick around a lot with their stuff because they had different like specific dungeons that they could be like, here's the theme to this dungeon, and it would be cool.
Yes.
Like, you know, they got to play around a little bit more, whereas like now it's just Tartarus. And you're just like, okay, well, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're not alone. I'm actually there with you. I remember reading that and being like, no, he's right. You can all hate it. You can all hate him for that. I get it, but he's right. It's not actually that great.
I'm not saying it's bad.
No,
it's just that I'm definitely not vibing with it nearly as much as Persona 5.
Yeah, it's an expectations thing because a lot of people go on about it, and I get it, and they're entitled to enjoy that soundtrack. But there are certain things in it that I'm just like, I don't like this that much.
And even as I say this, like I can acknowledge that Persona 5 is absolutely like that. Final Fantasy VII or Yakuza Like a Dragon inflection point in the series where it's like, this is the one that brought all the new people.
Right.
Oh, and so it's always going to be the comparison point for those people. Or Fallout 3 is another example.
Yeah, 5 was probably the biggest success. I think 4 definitely caught a lot of people's attention though. And 3 was the one people are always like curious to go back to. So yeah, that's always been my perspective on that. But yeah, so you're kind of on the fence about it right now.
I'm definitting enjoying it. I'm hoping that there's more of a narrative hook later on that kind of keeps me invested.
I feel like eventually there is, but if you ask me what it was, I don't remember. It's been a while.
Like I'm enjoying the characters so far. It's not as repetitive dialogue wise as Persona 5 is, and I do appreciate that. It is because I do like to go talk to everybody, you know, when they have stuff to say, but it's still not as bad as let's meet up and have this conversation, and then before we go to bed, have this exact conversation again via text messages that you can't skip, right? Like,
thank God there was no group chats at that time, Julian.
Right.
Thank God for it.
And let's also do this exact conversation about like 7 times in the course of this month, right? Like,
why wouldn't we do that?
Yeah. It's not quite to that level. And then also, you know, I do really enjoy playing it in quote unquote real time, right? Like as the seasons go on, it's kind of fun.
Yeah, that's probably an R8 way to play that, honestly. Yeah, for sure. Makes it a little bit more bite-sized.
Yeah. I think I've already gotten the sense that like this character can't romance any older ladies, which is unfortunate. So I think I have an idea of who I want him to romance eventually.
I mean, there's only one right choice, so you know that's fine.
Is it Chihiro?
I can't remember.
Oh, okay. She's like the really shy, like student council girl.
Nope, that's not the right choice.
Oh, well, that's who I'm looking at right now, but I probably haven't also, I don't think I've met all the characters yet anyway.
I think you met the right choice, but you probably just don't think that of them.
Oh, is it the leader?
Yeah. The redheaded girl.
That's the Justin character. Yeah, no, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's great. That's the only choice there is, really. I mean, there might actually be one better that I don't remember or know about, but that's the right choice for me.
I think you can definitely tell the difference in Justin and I's personalities by that. Justin's like, no, yeah, I really like the Dommy Mommy in the party. And I'm
Apparently.
like, no, I really like this natural submissive girl that's just like really shy.
Cool. Yeah, I always like the cool girls. That's what I'm into.
She is very cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Persona 3. Like, you know, like if I have like anything deeper to say next month, I definitely will. But it might be a thing where I don't check in on it for a couple months or so. Because I kind of have a feeling that next month is going to be just kind of more of the same, and I won't really have much additional to say.
Yeah.
But who knows? We'll see. Like,
yeah.
But I am waiting for kind of like the hook, you know, of what we're actually aiming for.
I can't guarantee you that it's going to be there.
One thing though, I gotta say, so one of the social links that you meet is this grade schooler, and she's going through some shit.
Yeah.
And I fucking cry every time that I interact with her.
I think I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. It makes me like remember some shit.
Yeah, right.
And it's like, oh man, like she. Yeah, and I've only like I think I've only interacted with her like 3 times so far, but every time it's been a fucking gut punch.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Her and also the elderly couple that runs the bookstore. Like I'm just like, oh man, like these are the
vaguely remember
characters.
them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That's Persona for you.
Yeah.
Oh man,
it does have me. I am getting more and more excited for a Persona 6 reveal. I feel that that's not happening this year because I think they really want to get behind Metaphor. in a big way this year, which is looking incredible.
That game looks awesome. So I forgot. I always forget about that game coming out, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's gonna be really cool.
They announced the new Assassin's Creed this week, which is hitting the Tenchu button for me.
Yeah.
But I think it's coming out like the same, like within 2 weeks of Metaphor. And I'm like, sorry, Assassin's Creed. Like there can only be one.
It's also about like 10 years too late, but what are you going to do?
Yeah. I mean, I think my advantage is that I haven't played very many Assassin's Creeds, so I'm not burnt out on them.
Julian, did you play Ghost of Tsushima?
I did.
It's pretty much Assassin's Creed, but in Japan.
Yeah, but this one with the ninja character, like she is very much going for more of a full stealth thing, and so that's what I'm really kind of wanting to sink my teeth into gameplay wise.
Yeah,
and then narratively, I am very interested in this black samurai that I'd never heard of before, who is a real person. That fucking owns.
Yeah.
It was funny before, because it's been a big stink with the people that you would expect it to be because
the world
is awful.
I've seen the controversy. Yes.
But it's funny because right before that trailer dropped, I was thinking it'd be really cool if there was a Yakuza game where like one of the enemies was like a non-Japanese Yakuza boss.
Yeah,
I'm sure that's happened in the past, and like how crazy does that person have to be to have like gotten the respect enough to get anywhere in the organization, it's not being possible. Japanese?
Yeah, it's possible.
I looked it up. I looked it up because I was curious if there was even a thing, no, you don't have to be Japanese to be a Yakuza.
All right.
You do apparently you have to renounce all ties to outside affiliation, including your family, when you join.
Gotcha.
So that's the thing, is that the Yakuza becomes your new family.
Yeah.
But even so, I'm sure that for a gaijin, there are like a lot of just like deep-seated like obstacles to getting anywhere in that organization.
For sure. Yeah.
So the idea of like having like a boss that is a gaijin is like very interesting to me. Is like, what the fuck did you do to get up this far?
That would be that'd be pretty cool actually.
Yeah. Along with my idea of like really wanting a game in that series set in the 60s or 70s, like when they were at full strength, because to be fair, the last handful of games, it's like
the Yakuza are dead, and
the Yakuza are dead because of like real life. Like the Yakuza are pretty much dead in the real world too. So there's not much you can do there anymore.
I mean, they did a whole thing where like, nope, we're done with it. This is all done. And it's like, okay, well, where do you go from here? And then they're like, that's why it's not in Japan this time. Shut up.
Yes,
we're going a different route.
Yeah. Like, I can't wait to talk to you about Infinite Wealth once you go through it, because it's got some really interesting shit, coming off of the last one.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that one.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Scorpion is a man of few words.
Get over here!
And he's running for the Republican presidential nomination.
Come here!
He believes in...
Get over here! Come here!
I'm not really sure.
Get over here!
Vote for him.
Come here!
Toasty! What have you been up to? So,
oh God,
since last week, Justin?
What have I been?
I've got other stuff, but I'll save it for later.
No, you're fine. I don't got a whole lot. I played more House Party since the last time I talked about it. So I've seen just about everything. I think there's definitely a few things I didn't see. There's like a lot of alternate routes. That is a game that has a lot of weird self-inflicted problems, where its biggest, what it's going for, it doesn't quite nail. Like, it wants you to like kind of screw up and kind of railroad yourself out of stuff sometimes so that you play it over again. Like, it's made to just be played over again.
Mm-hmm. Almost like a choose your own adventure novel, I get the sense of.
Kind of, yeah. And that's cool, but they don't quite nail that because it's a little too long, I think. Like, so like and there's kind of like, you can kind of do a lot of the stuff. There is like a main route. So when I was talking about it last episode, I think I even mentioned it. I was like, last time I played with like a guide and just kind of went through and did stuff. And so that's what I did. I booted up Steam and I had Steam on one window and with the guide, and I was playing it on the TV, and I was just going through, and I realized how fucking weird structurally it is, because it's like, okay, when you're talking to this person, do not select this one thing because it's going to railroad you down this one other shit. And I was like, oh, all right. I guess it's very specific and like, say this thing, and this thing. Do not say these other things, and so on and so forth. And it's like, okay, all right. So I'm going through the guide and I'm doing a lot of stuff. I did find the Game Grumps. They were like maybe one option that I've kind of looked at and didn't know what it was previously, and I was like, oh, that's the route we go to do that. They are the best part of the game by leaps and bounds. It's not even close. I'm not that familiar with their stuff, admittedly.
You said that before the show, and that actually surprised me. Because I had gotten the sense over time that you were pretty well versed with them.
No, I never didn't watch a lot of like YouTube like playthroughs of stuff where with commentary or anything like that. Like until like Castle Super Beast. They were super best friends back then. They were kind of the one, and I didn't even know they did that. Because I found the podcast first, and then they kept going on about YouTube stuff, and I was like, I should look into that because I like these guys. And then I did, and I was like, oh, okay. And they're basically that's what they did, was the Game Grumps stuff. Yeah.
I meant to tell it to James when he was telling his story from Retrofits when they were on, because like I fell into Game Grumps as ass backwards as you can. Yeah. Because the first thing that I found was Starbomb. It was like an album that was recommended to me in like iTunes at the time. Okay. And I bought it and I really liked it. And I realized that like, oh, it's this band named Ninja Sex Party who's teaming up with this guy named Ego Raptor. Okay. So let me go check out Ninja Sex Party. Right. So I bought some Ninja Sex Party albums and I was like, oh, this is really fun. And then I found out that Ninja Sex Party was, one half of Game Grumps. And then I found Game Grumps, and, where usually it's the other progression where like you discover Game Grumps and then you realize that Dan has a band. Right. And then you realize that Dan and Aaron have a side project band. Okay. So yeah,
they're both in there. They're phenomenal.
I had watched the Game Grumps episode where they played the Game Grumps DLC. Okay, which was fun because they at that point, I guess it had been long enough where they didn't remember like recording like the dialogue.
Right, that's fun. If I'm right, and I don't even think it's DLC. I think it's just part of the game. I could be wrong though. But it didn't come out until like patches and patches later. Right. Yeah, they're really good. The only thing I find annoying about when they show up is it constantly will update you to go check on them, because they don't actually
they're VIPs.
Well, yeah, and they don't actually have a lot that you can actually like do with them. Like they have like a quest thing that you do, and that's fine. But other than that, there's like not a whole lot of ways to really interact with them other than go see what they're doing, which is fun. It's great, and it's the funniest shit in the game. It's more like when like in a Kevin Smith movie when they cut back to Jay and Silent Bob. Exactly, it's like, what are Jay and Silent Bob doing right now? And the game constantly is like you're trying to get stuff done, and they're like, you should go check on them. They're doing something. It's like I not right now. Yeah. I'll do that eventually, maybe. But yeah, their whole thing is like I think they're trying to go to like a Game Grumps live thing, And so you use a cell phone jammer to make their hot air balloon that they were going to fly in on crash or make them land in the party that you're in. And then they want you to let them leave, but you don't have a cell phone, so you can't get them to go. So they're just kind of stuck there.
Yeah.
And
very Scooby-Doo guest character type of vibe.
Kind of like that. Yeah. There's a lot of that. There's the DLCs are like Doja Cat's there. Like they're just like banging on the fence, and then you go see them, and they kind of obscure who it is. And then like you go talk to people and then you eventually find out who it is, and then they come into the party and everybody's like, oh shit, that's cool. And I'm like, I don't really know who this is anyway. But anyway, they just walk around and do shit, and they're funny. There's spots in their dialogue where there's my favorite thing is like you can hear them talking where they're like, it almost sounds like they recorded their dialogue for the game, but they just let Audacity keep recording it or something, or whatever they're using to record. Because there's one part where it's like, can you believe that we played this game and now we're in it? We're very deep in the lore of the and they both just start cracking up. Like it's and I'm like, okay, that just sounded off the cuff and not part of the whole thing. It was great. Yeah. But it's great.
That's what
really
you want from them.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's really good. They were my favorite, like, comedy. They were actually funny. Like most of that game is trying to be funny and it's not doing a very good job, but it's entertaining somehow. I don't know. Yeah. Frank's funny.
I don't watch like a lot of their like actual stuff, but I do consume tons and tons of like animated like versions of their best stuff. Yeah. And I'll watch those on repeat. Right. Like, because it makes me laugh so much.
Right. Yeah, no, they're the best part of that game. But it's convoluted to get through. You have to like hook up with this one girl to get to all that stuff. It's wild. And that's a thing that I like. It's funny because that part of hooking up with that girl was like one of the earliest things that you could do. So it's ingrained in my memory as to how to do it. I just didn't know that's where it led to afterwards. I didn't know. Right. I was like, that's not the road. It's usually like after you do that, like that character's done. You never really have to talk to him again, at least in the old version of the game that I'm used to. But anyway, playing it is it's a trip. Like you have to, if you do it like certain things out of order, and like there's really annoying shit where you have to like actually time it or else you'll fuck it up. There's for a game that controls not super great, it controls on mouse and keyboard, but it also has a controller support, and the controller support's kind of awkward. It's functional and works fine, but at the same time sometimes it's like, okay, to get this person to not punch this other person, I have to throw a one of those like fire popper things. It's like a firework, but you throw it and it pops, and everybody goes, "Oh, that's fun." It's stupid. You have to do that next to them, and it has to be like just the right fucking distance, or it won't trigger because the game's kind of finicky like that. But that entire thing is like me going through my inventory and the game stopping you to show you the conversation, and then me trying to go back to the inventory like, shut the fuck up, I'm just trying to do this one thing, I know what I have to do, shut up. Stuff like that's kind of annoying. It's fine. Like it's funny because I played it, I don't know how long ago. It's been at least 4-5 years since I played that game, and a lot of the stuff is kind of still the same for the most part. There's definitely some add-ons and stuff like that here and there, but most of it, like I'm going through, I'm like, oh right, I remember this. And there's like a couple characters here and there where it was like, right, they didn't have anything for them. Like there was just this was just a dead end. There's a character in there named Amy, who just like, they got added pretty late. And I remember you could do stuff for them. They had a quest line, but like it just ended and nothing happened. Yeah. Like it was just like, that's all we have for them. And it's like, okay, cool. Now they actually have like stuff that you can do with them. And I was like, oh, that's kind of neat.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, there's a slight relation. Like I know it's not exactly a porn game.
Yeah.
This game, but like
It kind of is.
I feel like it's got like adult content in it, but that's not like the focus of the game, or at least that's not the impression that I get.
Or let me talk about that aspect. I'm sorry, everyone. It kind of is. It pretty much is. I'm going to tell you straight up. It pretty much is. The only problem with their adult content, and there's two different kinds. There's you can turn on like the legacy version, which is basically just sex in first person, which is really fucking weird. But you can do it. Or they now have like kind of scenes that take place. The only problem with them is it's kind of the same scene depending on what room you're in. So like if a sex scene happens in the main bedroom, it's the same for every character. If the sex scene happens in this other bedroom, it's the same for any character that it happens there.
Right. Very robotic.
Yeah. After once you see that like varnish kind of come off, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess. But it's way better than like, I guess, being in first person and doing that. But that option is still there if you want it, I guess. But it pretty much is kind of an adult content game for the most part. Like I would, if I would play it on This Is Video Games for sure. Like it's
right.
It's,
okay. That 100%. Puts it in perspective.
Absolutely. 100%.
But going back, like when I played Summertime Saga, because that was my first type of these games that I ever played.
Yeah.
And when I played it, like they had just released like the final piece of the main story content. So like I was able to get to an ending or, so like it felt like a complete game.
Right.
And it wasn't until like I started to like, after I did that and I kind of started to look around, I was like, oh yeah, I guess it's not done because there's like this and this. And like, it was kind of weird that like after this point, this character didn't have anything to do.
Right.
But at the time when I was playing it, I didn't think anything of it.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't until like I started to like pay attention to the streams and stuff. It's like, oh no, this is still like actively in development. And there's like a bunch of shit they're still adding to it.
Yeah.
And, I'll talk about it later because they're finally about to release like the first part of their tech update. And I do want to talk about that once I play around with it because that has been a wild ride. As someone who didn't find the game until they started this, what basically amounts to a complete remake of the game from the ground up, where they thought it was going to take them a few months to work on, and it's been like 3 years now.
Yeah.
Like,
House Party is very similar to that, where I played that game in 2017 for the first time because I can't remember who played it. I want to say it was Matt from Matt McMuscles play it. Or somebody in that realm played it, and I was like, "That's fucking funny." I own a PC now. I could play that. Let's do it. Let's just see what that's all about. And it was very early access. Like I said, there was like objects and shit that just didn't do anything. Like you're just like, why can I pick this up? And they would say in like the thing is like, this doesn't do anything right now. There's nothing it goes to. It will eventually. We have a plan for it. Going into where it is now, it came a long way. It looks way better. It all the stuff there's like tons more characters and all sorts of shit. Tons is a stretch, but there's more characters and like it seems like there's a lot of refinement and shit like that. I give them a lot of credit. So it was interesting to do that. Now I didn't get to see everything, and here's why. And I don't know if I'll ever go back to the game because of this. I had an awful bug happen to me that set me back about 3 hours, and I just stopped. It was rough. So like I said, it's finicky. You can fuck things up, and it'll lock you out. So that's a thing. And once you realize that, you save a lot. And that way you can get to certain, like, you can be like, okay, from right here, I can fuck around with these 3 things and go see other stuff. Right. So does
it autosave pretty well?
Yes, it will autosave after like major events and stuff. And there's also a quick save, which is the thing I was using a lot. Now that wasn't the problem though. So I got to a point where the character I was talking about that didn't have anything. I always thought they were really kind of a fun character, And I was like, okay, they have their own little specific path, but the guide wants me to go down a different thing. I want to see this thing just because I've always wanted to see what they were going to do with them. And so I was like, okay, let me take the split route here, and I'm going to save it right here. And then I'll reload the save and we'll go do what the guide wants me to do. Cool, no problem. Because it even has like parts in the guide where it's like, hey, save right here because there's an alternate path that you can go down, but it's going to goof everything up here. And I was like, okay. So I saved it, and I went down the alternate path, and I was like, okay, cool. That's fine. I did that. All right, time to reload. And I reloaded, and nothing happened. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Like I was in the same room, in the same spot with the same person. And I was like, wait a second. That's not right. So I was like, okay, let me, something must have happened. So I reloaded it again, and it did the same thing. I was like, okay, something's going on here. So I was like, let me try restarting the game. So I restart the game, and I loaded that save up, and this is the creepiest fucking shit ever. Like, if you told me I fucking like triggered some sort of ghost event, or like haunted game save, I would not be surprised. If they did that, they're geniuses. But I would like to know about that. So I loaded the save up, and it puts you in the house, and there's no music playing, nobody's in the house, and all the doors are locked.
Oh, gee, yeah, that's some creepypasta shit right there.
Yeah, right? And I was like, what the fuck is going on? So I start like kind of walking around, and I'm like, okay, something's up here. I was like, all right, I think this save is bugged. And I looked it up at that point. I was like, okay, that other people are having this issue. I don't quite know what it is. Let me go back. There's another save right under it. Let me go back. Loaded that one up. Did the same thing. I was like, oh, fuck. And I start going down the saves, and all of them start doing it. Somehow, at some point, it just corrupted them. The only one that worked was about 3 hours back. And I was like, I don't even remember where I was, what I was doing, what the plan was. I had done like a ton of like really annoying shit that I didn't want to do again. And I was like, yeah, that's it for this game. Yeah. I was like, yeah, that's a harsh bug. And I'm like, this game has been out long enough to where I would feel like that sort of thing shouldn't happen. And I was a little bummed by that.
Yeah, it's not a Bethesda game. Like,
no, right? Like, yeah, and maybe,
you would expect the bugs to actually be taken care of.
Yeah, and especially if it's probably happening to other people. But I don't know. Maybe I just had a freak.
It could be one of those super rare things that doesn't happen very often. I could have just done something like really weird to trigger all that, but it was kind of a bummer, and I was just like, all right. And I was looking up stuff anyway. I was like, a lot of this stuff I've seen and kind of know where it goes. There's no, the other thing I think I would have done if I was them, it's too late to implement this stuff now, in my opinion, probably. But I would have made an actual conclusion to the game, or just multiple conclusions as to, how it can goes, and who you piss off and who you become friends with, or something like that. Oh, is there not like an actual canonical end?
No, you get done, and you are done when you think you're done, basically. Like that's it. There's conclusions to characters' stories, like the game grumps can eventually leave the party. Stuff like that. Though that's their end. They're no longer there. So that's the end of them. There's stuff that can happen to every character that is the end of their story. But
no, man, like with a house party type thing, you got to have that moment when like the cops show up and everybody scatters. Like that's like such an integral part of that whole genre. Something,
I just some kind of conclusion to shoot for, or multiple conclusions, or just like, okay, you did this, and this is, the route that you went down, and that would kind of encourage like you to play through it multiple times, but like it just kind of ends, and then it just ends, or it doesn't even end.
It's whenever you're satisfied that you've seen basically what you want to see.
And I'm sure there are people that are like, oh, that's awesome, but I'm not one of them. I kind of want to see like, an end of some kind, or like something that I'm working towards, or whatever, or the night, is over and you're done.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, especially, again, I haven't played it, but from what I've seen anecdotally, it seems so much like an homage to like those R-rated, like, party, like,
Yes,
high school / college party movies.
All the stereotypes are here type of thing. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like, go back to the previous conversation where it's like, yeah, there should at least be the freeze frame with like, and then this character went on to go do this type of thing, right? Because that's like such a staple of those movies.
Right. And it doesn't have that. And it's kind of, like I said, characters have a conclusion to their stories, but like, it doesn't really end. I don't know. So I was kind of like, so what's the point in going back?
Yeah, you kind of saw what you were going to see.
So that game is fine. I would say it's one of the most high quality, like, I guess, adult content video games you can play for sure. Mm-hmm. But it's not without its quirks, and it's not without its weird stuff. Certain parts are weird. I don't know. It's something. That game is something.
I will say though, the story of your corrupted saves made me think what you should check out from Game Grumps is. So Dan is like you with horror. Yeah. Like he just can't hack it, right? Yeah. Aaron fucking loves horror. Okay. And so some of the best shit is when Aaron sits Dan down to play a game, and it's a secret horror game. Oh, yeah. Where it starts out kind of normal, and Dan's like, okay, cool, it's just a regular Game Grumps episode, and then weird shit starts happening, and he's like, Aaron, is this? And then the slow realization dawns on him, and then he starts freaking the fuck out. Yeah. Like those are some really great moments.
Yeah. That's good.
Doki Doki Literature Club was definitely one of those. I
was just gonna say, I imagine Doki Doki Literature Club was definitely something like that. Absolutely. Yeah. That's fun. That would have been. I if that is a secret Easter egg type thing that I unlocked, that's cool. But I wish it wouldn't have set me back 3 hours.
Yeah, well, and you saying that it's spread to all the other saves, like it definitely isn't.
No,
but
it's definitely not.
But what if it was though? That would have when you first told me that, I got goosebumps. I was like, shit.
Oh, it was weird. It freaked me out when I loaded up. I was like, what the fuck? Because House Party has it has a song that plays, and in the first version of the game, it was the only song that played. It was one song, and you would get so sick of hearing it. It kind of became an in-joke with like the whole thing. Like it was just like, It's just this song, to where they implemented a quest to change the music. Like you have to go through a whole thing to actually be able to add more songs to the playlist. And I'm like, that's kind of perfect. That's great. But like when you boot up, when you start up anything and that song isn't playing, you're like, okay, something's off, something's wrong. Yeah. This isn't right. It's weird.
The removal of background music in a video game, I don't know how to explain it, but it is so super effective for upping the creep factor.
Yep.
It's ridiculous.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, Doki Doki Literature Club was, based off of You and Me and Her, or whatever the hell that game was called.
Which I still have on my desktop intending to play. I just keep forgetting to fire it up.
That game was really great when it decided to do things like that. It was based off of that. Oh man, good shit. Yeah. But anyway, that's House Party. I played it. It's fine. You can play it too. They're still adding stuff to it. It's in 1.0, but they're still adding stuff to that. They're putting out, I think it might be in like the beta, and I just didn't opt into it, which I could do. I just forgot. But they have like character customization. Like you can change the way that all the characters look and stuff, and your character looks. And, so that's kind of neat. I should maybe mess around with that while it's still on Steam before I uninstall it forever. But man, then again, I don't know if I don't really want to play it again. There's not much left to see. Do you want to talk about more stuff?
Excuse me.
Oh, hey, how's it going, man?
Mr. Titus.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
That's good. That's good.
Thank you for the suggestion of the park. It was very
very
pleasant.
Yeah.
I must have drifted off because all of a sudden it was 3 a.m. and I was still on the bench, and I don't know how that happened.
Oh well. But, no, that's fine. That's good. That's how that when you wake up like that, that means it's good luck.
Oh, well, that's comforting.
Yeah. You're a blessed man.
I was coming here because I have Darryl Strawberry facts for you, Mr. Ham.
Oh, okay. Well, let me.
My apologies that it took this long.
Oh no, it's fine.
I had to do lots of research.
Right.
So Darryl Strawberry is a human man.
Okay. Yeah, he is. He is a human man.
He plays the sport of baseball.
He does. That's true.
That's a fact.
Yes.
He's never died in a poison swamp.
No,
I wonder what that feels like to have never died in a poison swamp.
Oh, have you done that before? I'm sorry.
So many times.
Right.
So many times.
You should no, it happens. We've all been there. I've been there.
He's had multiple maidens in his life.
Oh yeah.
That also seems like an amazing thing.
Yeah. It might be. Sometimes you have a lot of, why do you phrase it like that? It's kind of weird, but you know what? Let's move on.
I'm just speaking based on personal experience.
Right. Yeah. But okay. Yeah. What else you got? What else you got? Let's just move on.
He's never had to fat roll. He's never had to do that. He's actually quite mobile and nimble.
Yeah, baseball, they don't really wear armor. They should. They should consider it. Do you know how fast they throw those baseballs? They're really hard. Like they hit you, it will hurt.
It seems strange to me. I don't know why all of you people aren't wearing full armor all the time.
Really, it's strange to me too. We should start doing that. Actually, I've always said that fashion it should get to the point where we're all just wearing giant chunks of metal on us at all times.
I agree.
In random spots too,
It would just be safer for all involved.
Right. I want a headband with just a big block of steel on it.
Yes, you should do that. Preferably just a full metal mask like I wear.
The mask. Yeah, I mean, we could do that. Yeah.
Yes. I've also been told it's a lot cheaper and easier for animators, but I don't know what that means.
Yeah,
it's just something that I hear a lot when people see me walking around.
Yeah, that's fair.
Also, Darryl Strawberry was named an All-Star in 8 consecutive seasons from 1984 to 1991.
Yeah, he was pretty good. Yeah.
So I hope you enjoyed my Darryl Strawberry facts. I hope they were up to your specifications.
They were very good. They were very good. Thank you. Let's see. New assignment. You can do this, Justin. So take your time. There's no rush. Morgun. What I would like now, I will need some facts that you find interesting about aardvarks.
Aardvarks.
Yeah.
Are they also poisonous? Do they inflict scarlet rot?
Well, you'll have to find out. I'll leave you to the adventure of learning.
I deeply dislike the scarlet rot, Mr. Ham.
Yeah, no, it's not great.
It's very
painful. Sound good. I mean, they put rot right in the title. It's the whole thing. Yeah. So aardvarks. We'll all learn about them.
Yes, sir. I will get right on.
Oh well, that's that. Yeah.
All right, I think he got it though. Yeah. I think he'll remember it.
Yeah, yeah.
He'll get back to us.
I think it'll be all right. It'll be all right.
I'm just gonna move him over a little bit. Just kind of push him. There we go.
Yeah,
okay.
That's good. It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good that he's there.
Yes.
When we leave this room and then enter this room, he will surely have disappeared.
Yes, that has been my experience since I hired Morgun.
yeah, that's about right.
And then he just shows up randomly, usually right behind me. It's very off-putting.
Yeah, it's the whole thing.
Yeah, but listeners may be surprised. Fucking phenomenal stage manager. Just been really great.
And you wanted to fire him.
When he's able to do things. Yeah, I feel bad about it.
You wanted to fire him, yeah. See, I told you.
Yeah, well, I felt like Morgun, along with a lot of other things, wasn't getting a lot of traction with my co-host, so I was pleasantly surprised.
No. Nope, we're keeping. Yeah, nope. You just gotta. You just don't know.
Yeah, gotta keep at it sometimes.
Yep, exactly.
Yes.
Yep.
Did you have?
Do you want me to have? Do you want me to have more? Because I could have more.
So I've got like two quick. I've got like three kind of quickie things, and that's pretty. Oh no, I guess four things.
Okay,
but yeah, well, yeah. Let me hit up two of these real quick, and then we'll go back. Since I've got like, we can kind of divvy it up. So,
you know what, Julian? Chill. Before we do that, let's do this.
Sure.
It's time for the 311 minute.
I had almost forgotten about the 311 button.
I didn't.
It was blissful.
No, sorry. It's time for the 311 minute. This is your 311 fact for the podcast. Lead singer Nick Hexum doesn't like the look of aardvarks. Doesn't like how they look. Doesn't like them.
I feel like I understand where your head's been lately.
Been thinking a lot about aardvarks recently. It's the whole thing.
Yeah.
They're like alphabetically first when it comes to animals. It's fascinating.
That is, yeah.
Yeah. 2 A's.
Mm-hmm.
Can't beat it. You know? What are you going to do?
Aardvark.
Yeah. They
Thought we should really be pronouncing it.
Really underrated animal, you know? Really underrated. What are you going to do?
Am I getting them confused with anteaters, or is that just another name for anteater?
Let me tell you something. You are, but you're not far off. They're pretty. Okay. They're kind of similar. They're pretty similar. Yeah. They are not the same, but pretty similar.
Because I think there's an old cartoon called The Ant and the Aardvark.
The aardvarks do eat ants and termites. Okay, and they also have their own cucumber named after them. It's okay to say this because Morgan's asleep. But
that's what we'll call it.
They have aardvark cucumbers, and that's the only fruit that they eat.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know what's in an aardvark cucumber, but you can eat it. Yeah. But anyway,
it's for the aardvarks.
Yeah. But anyway,
take
that's
that from them.
Your 311 fact. Is 311. Yeah. Chill.
Yep, that thing.
Yep.
Are you continuing to add to the tally?
Yeah, we're at 15 right now. I'm putting them down right now.
Excellent. So there were a couple games on my PlayStation wish list that went on sale when I just happened. So what I ended up doing is I fired up my PlayStation to add games to my wish list from this year that are like mid-range games that I don't want to forget before the end of the year. So I added Banishers and Alone in the Dark.
Okay.
And Rise of the Ronin. Like, those are games that I definitely want to hit up at some point this year. And I don't want to forget about them.
Yeah.
But in doing so, I noticed that there were a couple games that I'd added on my wish list a long time ago that were on sale. One of which was like ridiculously cheap.
Okay.
Like just a couple bucks off of like its normal price.
All right.
So I played. So one was Unmetal, which is a original Metal Gear inspired game.
Yes. I remember that now. Yeah.
And then the other one is Schoolgirl Zombie Hunters.
All right.
Which is exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah. Is it like the famous one?
It really wants to be Onichimara, but it doesn't have the style chops as Onichimara.
Okay, gotcha.
It's trying to split the difference between that and Earth Defense Force. That is very much the wheelhouse for that.
Yeah.
But I'll talk about Unmetal first because I had more fun with it and I played it longer.
Yeah, it seems like probably a better game. I'm not going to lie to you.
No, it absolutely is. Going back to talking about the votes for the Suffer Select.
Yeah.
Where when I look at the trailer for Panda Hero, I can tell that it feels bad just from looking at it. Schoolgirl Zombie Hunters, the second you pick up the controller, it's like, oh, this isn't right.
Yeah, good. That's excellent. We should have maybe added that to the Suffer Select, but you already played it.
Yeah. I mean, I only played it for a bit, so it's definitely an option.
It's an option.
Also, the regular price is like $40. And I paid significantly less than that. But that I saw that price point and I was like, that's ridiculous, dude.
Yeah.
So Unmetal is, again, it's very much inspired by Metal Gear.
Yes.
Not Metal Gear Solid. It is a 2D sprite based game, overhead view, sneaking mission type thing. I didn't realize how funny it was.
Yes.
It was intended to be.
Yes.
And I will say, and you and I have very different senses of humor, but I have been thoroughly entertained so far by the sense of humor. So the setup, your main character, Jesse Fox, is flying a Russian helicopter in American airspace and gets shot down and captured. And he's being interrogated by U.S. military, and he's retelling the story of how he got there to this interrogator.
I remember that.
And it's very much that he is a unreliable narrator.
Narrator, yeah.
And he's actually like as he's describing the setup, the actual graphics are being like filled in. So at first it's just him on like a grid, and then he's doing his best like David Hayter, right? And he's like, well, I was in this cell, and so like the cell pops up, and and he's describing it, and it's all like populating. It's really neat,
right?
As a good example of like the silliness of this game, one of the first items that you get is a roll of toilet paper. And if you go into the inventory, the description of the toilet paper says single ply, unscented, unpatterned. Okay. Right. But you have this from like the beginning of the game. It's just in your inventory.
Right.
And you actually go to bathrooms to make a hard save of your progress. It auto saves at pretty good intervals.
Right.
But for the hard saves, you have to go to a urinal and save there.
Yeah.
But at this one bathroom, there is a guard that's like taking a shit, and he's like, "Hey man, do you have any toilet paper on you? Like, I'm out."
Yeah.
And so you can choose to give him the toilet paper. So I gave him the toilet paper, and he's like, "Oh man, what's up with this? It's single ply and unscented and unpatterned."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, it's what the prisoners use." And he's like, "Yeah, come to think of it, your voice isn't familiar. Like, who are you?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm Lieutenant so-and-so." And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I didn't realize your rank, blah, blah, blah." And that's the end of the interaction. And I was like, okay, that was weird. And then I was like, what if I can just beat the shit out of this guy? And so I punch the door open, and then knock him out. And it cuts to the interrogator, and he's like, "You knocked down a bathroom stall door and knocked out a guard?" And he's like, "Yeah, I beat the shit out of him." And then he's like, that toilet paper wasn't unscented after that. And I was like, okay. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, sure.
And it's things like that where you'll do something, and then it cuts to the interrogation room, and he's like, "You did what now?"
Yeah.
Like, why did you do that? And you actually have choices in the dialogue. And at this point, I'm like, I'm going to make this dude come off as crazy as I possibly can.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And it's really good. So far, I think my issue with it has been that, like, for as silly a game as it is, it's actually pretty hardcore with like the mechanics. And if you get shot once, you start bleeding out, and you do have like a reusable bandage to like stop the bleeding.
Right.
But healing items have also not been very plentiful. Like we're talking like Resident Evil 1 levels of scarcity. And I'm already on like a second boss fight, and I'm at this boss fight where basically I can't take a hit. Because I don't have any healing left, and I'm almost dead anyway.
Oh boy!
So that's a little frustrating, and that's kind of where I left off with it.
Yeah.
But I am digging everything that it's doing.
That's cool. Yeah.
It's a really neat little game.
Yeah.
So I might just like pop it on easy and see what that changes, because right now it's like I'm fighting this boss. He's got a gun. And I have, there's this like globe in the middle of the room that you like break.
Okay.
And you're supposed to like basically kick the globe at his face back and forth.
Okay.
The only problem is that like you have to like line up the globe. Like you have to angle it just right. But meanwhile, he's moving back and forth and shooting. And it's like, if he shoots me once, like it's game over.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the sticking point that I have right now. But man, it has made me like legitimately laugh, multiple times so far.
Nice.
And it's fairly cheeky, and I'm enjoying it.
Hell yeah.
Schoolgirl Zombie Hunter, on the other hand,
not enjoying that as much.
Woof. Fucking woof.
Well, yeah.
I knew what I was getting into, right?
Right.
And the price point was fine, and I the premise was dumb enough, and I like Onin Shinbara, and it was definitely giving me those vibes.
Right.
It's just that it controls like absolute shit.
Well,
it's literally all you're doing is shooting zombies, and the zombies actually respawn very, very quickly. And they will randomly drop weapons, and that's where the Earth Defense Force element is where like it's kind of about stocking up on these cooler weapons and outfitting your character with like ridiculous firepower.
Yes.
Like that eventually I think ends up being like way more than you would need for a zombie horde.
Can I ask a quick question here? So I just want to see this. Is it schoolgirl / zombie hunter?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. It's like a lightning bolt.
Yeah. That's okay. Got it. All right. Just making sure I'm looking at the right thing.
It's also doing like, I think the fan, like I didn't get to this point, but I think it does the fan servicey thing where like their outfit gets like tattered as they take damage.
Okay. Let me read here. Lose the clothes, save your life. This is straight off of Steam.
I have not taken a hit yet. So
this is a survival story of 5 high school girls. This is okay, word for word here. I'm going to read this sentence. This is a survival story of 5 high school girls happened in the world of Oni-chanbara. So it is in the Oni-chanbara universe.
That is why I added to my wish list. Because it's an offshoot of this other thing that I dig. Yeah. But the character models are like super ugly.
Yeah.
And there's not really much design to them. Like that's the thing about Oni-chanbara is that like there's a style to those games, right? Especially like the very famous cowgirl with the chaps and the samurai sword, and like she just looks really cool. None of the girls in this game look cool.
I have the schoolgirl character from Oni-chanbara tattooed on me, and that's
yeah. You don't want any of these girls tattooed on you.
No,
definitely.
They look, man. This game looks like. Oh, man.
It is very much a launch window 360 game.
Yeah, kind of. That's what it looks like. Yeah, it's weird. And it came out in 2018.
and it's done in like very bite-sized missions. Like it's a very score-based type of thing. Again, a la Earth Defense Force, right? Like it is very much like a replay these bite-sized missions to get more weapons and better scores.
Yeah.
Again, it's just that it feels like ass to play, and that is the bummer, because Oni-chanbara doesn't feel bad to play. It is very cheap.
Yeah,
but it is fairly fun to actually just like control the character from moment to moment. This is not that.
This is interesting. Okay, so you can buy this game, the game you're talking about, in a bundle with Oni-chanbara Z2 Chaos, right? So then I was like, okay, I don't remember which one that was. Let me look that up. So I'm looking at it. It's from 2016. This is 2 years before it, and it looks way fucking better than. Yeah, that's kind of
what I'm getting at. Yeah,
like I'm like, whoa, that's what a jump.
And to be fair, Oni-chanbara started as the Simple 2000 line in Japan, which was like the dirt cheap. Like there was a while there where they had these like very cheap, but also cheaply made games that did really well. America's version of that was actually the Spec Ops series, which were $10 games that were $10 quality, but because they were $10 military games, they sold like fucking hotcakes.
Yes.
And that was a Simple 2000 line in Japan, and that's where Oni-chanbara starts. Eventually, it kind of outpaces the Simple 2000 thing, where they start getting like more and more complex, and the games got more expensive.
Right.
But there was a certain level of quality to them where Schoolgirl Zombie Hunters definitely feels like a Simple 2000 game.
There's also
a Kusoge game, as they also call them.
Yeah, there's also Oni-chanbara Origin, which came out in 2020, and it has like kind of a cool, like almost like cel-shaded anime style to it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I would definitely recommend, if you're wanting like, sexy Japanese lady characters to fight zombies, go with Oni-chanbara and not Schoolgirl Zombie Hunters.
I don't know how those games, like the newer ones, play or anything. I mean, it might be kind of, that might be just where they went, where the controls just feel weird or something, but I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
The last one that I played was on PlayStation 4, and it was fine. I enjoyed it just fine.
That's probably that one, Z2 Chaos or whatever the fuck. I'm guessing that, or maybe not. I don't know. But yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I actually don't remember the name of it. It's a limited edition. Like
I forget the name of Oni-chanbara every time I go to think of it, so it's fine.
Which is like extra egregious, since again, tattooed on your fucking body.
Well, to be fair, I didn't know that's what it was from until later on, which made it funnier. And it's still my favorite, one of my favorite bits that I've ever done to myself. It's great.
If you ever actually did stand up, which I highly feel that you should one day, like that would definitely be a good bit for your Tight 5.
It's possible.
Yeah.
I feel like people have to know too much about video games to get the joke, though.
No, but that's what makes it funnier.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Because then you have to describe like what this video game is and why, and like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
But again, very different senses of humor.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, weird. Well, that's the thing you did. I'm sorry.
That is the thing I did. I didn't do it for very long.
I don't.
But
blame
again,
you.
the price came down, to low enough where I was like, okay, I'll pull the trigger on this. And
yeah.
Oh, that's what I was getting at. So like, it's a third person shooter, but the actual just like aiming feels bad. But on top of that, there isn't a aim down sights. Like it's not a hold L2 and then press R2. There is a button to zoom in, but it's just that it zooms the picture in like uncomfortably close, and it doesn't actually give you any more like refinement on your aiming control. So it's pointless. And it's like, and that actually feels like a PS2 era design thing, because we didn't really have aim down sights in the PS2 era.
Right.
I think maybe right at the very end there might have been a couple games that did that.
Yeah.
But it really wasn't until Call of Duty is the first thing that I remember. Call of Duty 2 was the first thing that I remember having like the aim, like the what would they call it? It wasn't aim down sights. It was iron sights.
Iron sights. Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of the first time that I remember it. As a mechanic, like as a named thing.
I'm
sure that I played games before that.
Yeah, it is a named thing, 100%. And yeah, that's always been the thing after that. So
yeah. So I can't say that I was disappointed because I didn't really have high hopes going in.
You didn't have high hopes going in. Yeah, no, yeah. I know that feeling. But
now that you reminded me that it is an offshoot of the Onichambara series, it actually makes me a little disappointed because those games play just fine to me.
Right.
So
right.
Yeah.
Well, this is a perfect place to jump in with some of this segment that I made now of games I played for 5 minutes.
Fuck 'em.
I played 2 games for about 5 minutes. So let's see. Okay, I played one for 10 minutes. I take it back. The whole segment's ruined now. I can't believe I've lasted that long in it. But the first game.
Nope. I'm not gonna say it. I don't want the Shasta McNasty.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your showing of restraint.
I'm learning.
I did set myself up for that joke. That's fine. I don't mean to. But anyway, I played a game called Tennis Elbow 4. Yes.
Please tell me it's not a tennis game, but it's a game where you are a doctor attending to sports injuries.
That I would have been way more interested in. No, it's a tennis game. It's
okay.
It came out on Xbox, but it's been out on Steam forever, and it's one of those games that, like, if you're trying to find a tennis game, because I like a tennis game. I was trying to find a tennis game on Steam, and like every time you look at a review for one of them, it's like, oh yeah, this one's really good, this Tennis Elbow thing, and I'm like, okay, and it's like a small indie game. Mm-hmm. I think it's made by like maybe one dude or something like that. I'm not really 100% sure. But it's constantly like people are always say almost the same thing. It's tough to get used to it, but once you get used to it, it's great. And those reviews are half right. It's impossible to get used to. I refused. I booted it up and I was like, okay, I don't particularly like the way this game looks, but let's see how it plays. Because I'm used to like, I've cut my teeth on like the Virtua Tennises and the top spins and all that stuff of the world. I enjoy me a fucking tennis game, and I know how those games play. They play a certain way, and once you get it, you're good. It takes a little getting used to sometimes, but once you get the timing and all that stuff, it's great. This one is like they're going for something. I just think it feels awful. I don't know how to explain it. It's like you got to kind of like time your shots, but also, and this is going to sound stupid as shit. You have to time your shots, but also aim. I don't know how to explain it other than like the aiming is so fucking finicky. It feels like, like I went to like training mode and I was like, okay, let me just understand the timing and how to aim and do all this stuff. And I was like, I can't do shit. Like this is, I'm not going to sit here and do this. Like that's just not going to happen.
I'm thinking back to tennis games that I've played.
Yeah.
And I feel that like, it's not really like the aiming comes from like where you're positioned when you like swing your racket. So it's not, it's more of like trying to, you know, I mean, you're not so much like, I never play, and you know, again, I'm not a sports guy, so maybe this is on me. I never would play them with like, I'm going to put the ball here, you know, with this swing. It was more of like a reaction to where it is on my side of the court.
Yes. So I've been, let me kind of, I'll break it down as best I can. The way I always kind of interpret how a tennis game should feel. It's kind of like what you said. Where like in position to where you are, how well this, you know, if you're running after the ball and you hit it, you're lucky if it stays in, right? Like that should be a thing. That should be a hard thing to keep in bounds. Stuff and the way you aim is kind of like, okay, I'm aiming in sort of this general direction, and the better I time my swing, the more close to the line it's going to be. A lot of the time. And you can, certain ones are like, you kind of have to, you get used to like where exactly it wants you to aim the stick at. It's a little like kind of practice on your own and you start to get it. It never like shows you where it's aiming. This one shows you where it's aiming, which almost makes it, it's interesting. I like that they're going for that. But at the same time, I was just like, but it also shows you how finicky it is, and it will just flat, like, I can have the stick on topspin all the way over, and it's going to aim towards the line. As long as I time it right, it's going to be in bounds. No problem. But this one is just like, hey, the stick's all the way over. So even if you time it right, it's all the way out. Like, and you're like, okay,
I see.
So it wants you, it's like super minutia based. And I'm like, no, I can't. I played it for about 5 minutes in the training mode. It was like, not doing this, turned it off and refunded it. I was like, not going to do that. Seems neat though. I wish it didn't feel bad to play. I was going to say those reviews that you were talking about, it's like usually when you see a review like that, it becomes kind of like a sunk cost fallacy where the people like people have like kind of tricked themselves into feeling that way because like they're like, well, I paid for it. Like I'm gonna sit with this until it. Yeah. And then they get used to it, but it's not. It could be they get used to it or like. So the other thing with that game is like, it's moddable, and like they really encourage like the modding part of it. And it apparently has like a really in-depth like career mode and stuff like that, which people are into. And that was the other reason I wanted to check it out, because I was like, oh, well, that sounds very up my alley. Yeah. And it was like, yeah, but if it plays like this, I can't. I'm not going to sit here and get used to that. It's just not worth it. So, I returned that game, and I think it was exactly at 10 minutes or 5 minutes when I returned it. And that's Tennis Elbow 4. I can't recommend it, but you know, if you want to look at it, you do you. The other game I played for about 10 minutes, is a game called Die by the Blade. Now, Die by the Blade is kind of a indie thing. I think it might have been a Kickstarter game from what I looked into. And it basically, so Julian and I have talked about Kengo, Master Bushido, in old podcast of ours. And
yes, not a successor, but the closest that you could get to a Bushido Blade, like after Bushido Blade 2.
After Bushido Blade, right? Yes, and I love Bushido Blade. Like I fucking love those games. They're super entertaining and fun, and I adore them. This is kind of, it's trying to be that. It's basically like, hey, one hit kill. You're both. Everybody's gonna have a sword, and you just gotta not get hit. And
Oh man, these character models look like
They don't look
from
great.
the asset store as fuck.
Yeah,
dude.
they don't look great. I was more intrigued by like just the aspect of it. I was like, okay, I want to see like what this game feels like, because what it's selling is exactly what I'm kind of into. Like where they're just like, yeah, you know, you're gonna be chopping some motherfuckers up, and it's one hit, and you gotta parry and dodge and all this stuff. The control scheme is kind of like a Souls game. Everything's on the triggers. I am on record as saying I am not a fan of that control scheme, but I get why it's becoming everywhere. Here,
and I really reject it.
Yeah,
but I understand.
Yes, here, I kind of understood after I played a few times of it what they were trying for. So they want you to have all your attacks and stuff on there, because there's like stances, like you have a high stance and a mid stance and a low stance. It's entirely too much going on. And then you figure out that you can just roll at somebody and slash them, and it will generally just work, and you win. Which kind of, it's just, once you figure that out, you're like, oh, that's kind of dumb. I mean, all the matches are really quick, because it's one hit kill.
Does it have the free roam element of Bushido Blade, like where you can move around the environment easily?
I think you can click the stick in, and it'll kind of have a run aspect, but it doesn't feel like Bushido Blade had, where you would just take off in a direction and you're suddenly just both just running, doing the samurai thing of running next to each other. Yeah, it doesn't have quite that.
And I don't know if maybe I'm alone in this, but that is the thing from Bushido Blade that I remember most fondly, is that ability. Like, I like the especially in the bamboo forest, where you're both like running through the bamboo, and then like you go in for that attack, and like someone dies and the bamboo gets cut. Yeah. Right. And like even Kengo, it had that ability, but it was definitely not a focus of the gameplay. Yeah, no. And to me, I feel like that is core to what I want from anybody that's trying to harken back to Bushido Blade.
And it also added like to the moveset and stuff. This one I think is going for like maybe a little too realistic, but not really. I'm not really sure what it's going for.
More like Soul Calibur, but the hits actually count.
Yeah. But here's the thing, like something about it, just like when you play it, just doesn't feel right. It's a
lot of that tonight.
Yeah, a lot of that tonight, and then it's tough to explain until you get in there. Like, it doesn't feel quite as responsive as you think it's going to be, and maybe it is, and just like the computer's just kicking my ass. I don't know, but like it wasn't even really that. Like every time I died, I'd be like, okay, yeah, sure. It starts back up, and then you're like, then maybe you roll into them and slash them, and you're like, okay, yeah. The other thing about it is, unlike okay, Bushido Blade, there's a bunch of different characters, and they all kind of have their own little things going on. Like this guy's a tall guy, this guy's a girl. That was a funny thing I said. This one's a girl.
No, you and I both use guy in a non exactly. like a non-gendered way.
Yes, that's what I'm going for. But this one is like you start out and you got one dude that you can pick. That's it.
Okay.
So
I mean, not that like the characters that I saw when I was looking up images like look good at all, but still, one dude. Like, there's no there. And then I was like, okay, well, how do I get other characters? Well, you gotta level up. How do I do that? Okay, you gotta win fights with the computer. Okay, who am I fighting as the computer? Oh, the same guy that you are. Okay, great, cool. Okay.
I'm like, okay. This is a system that you could have fucking thought through a little bit. Like, I'm just like, this is not how you do this.
It's such a great example of what I'm on about with like the fact that RPG progression has like insinuated its way into like everything. And so many games don't need it. It's like they want to make you feel like you're making forward progress, but sometimes the forward progress is just getting to the next level, and that's all it needs to be. And I don't mean leveling up. I mean getting to the next stage in the game.
it's a fighting game though. Like you play Bushido Blade. You go in there, all the characters are there. Maybe there's a couple hidden ones I can't remember off the top of my head.
I don't remember.
Yeah,
there's also like multiple weapons. But although I'm a katana dude, so like that's kind of all I stuck with.
That was like basically your moveset. Okay, you have a naginata or whatever, and this person has a katana, and that stuff's here. There are different weapons and stuff, but you only have one weapon at start. You only have the katana. And I'm not, not there's anything wrong with the katana. It's just like, but what if I want a different moveset? Like now everything looks the same, and
it's a perfectly distilled example of like modern game design versus like game design of like 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And again, like there are things that I prefer about modern game design. I think overall, again, I think stuff is of a higher quality.
Yeah. But
there is a certain element of like, we're going to take away stuff from you that would have just been there at the start in most games of the past, because that's how we're going to make you feel like you're like making progress when it just feels very artificial.
It doesn't need it. It just didn't need it. Just have all that stuff unlocked. If you want to do costumes or like skins or something like that, which they also have
extra weapons to unlock, sure, but you should at least have some to choose from.
Yeah, you need a little bit of variety in here, because instantly I was like, okay, I'm bored. Like this is not worth playing. Like that 10 minutes was like, okay, I've learned that this game is not. I'm not going to sit here and do this. I haven't refunded it yet because it might be hilarious to play with somebody else. I don't know. And so I'm just going to keep it just to keep it. And look at it sometimes and go, that wasn't a very good game. But yeah, it's Die by the Blade. Not very good. Don't recommend it. Probably if you see it and are interested in it, reconsider being interested in it.
Yes.
Cause it's not very good.
I want a new Bushido Blade.
That's what I mean. That's why I seen it. And I was like, okay, this looks a little rough, but man, if they pull the gameplay off and like, it could be so cool. And then I started, and I was like, no, this ain't it, man. This ain't it at all.
And meanwhile, Square is just continually making the worst decisions that they can possibly make. Like you could bring back Bushido Blade as a smaller budget game with like a very stylized art look, like style, like not going for hyper realism. You go for realism in the physics, not in the graphics, and you release it for like $30, like digitally only, and like that game finds an audience, right? Because it's got the name, and if the game's well made, like again, that's always the big caveat, right? The game has to be well made. Yeah. But I think that it would do decently well, if not, above even their crazy expectations. Because it would be scoped in a smaller
their expectations
way.
are wild.
Yes.
There's it's funny, after we talked last week, this is a perfect time to bring up this bit that I've been thinking about. And that is so like you said, Square been coming out and been like, we aren't making money, and they seem like they're in like total panic mode.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of entertaining. They're just like, I don't know, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth didn't do it, guys. We don't know what to do now. We burn it all down. We're gonna start over. We don't know. And after all the Xbox stuff and shit like that, and we were talking about this thing isn't making money, blah blah blah. And it's like, okay, what would be the game? And so we did a thing on the old show, Julian, where we made everybody try to think evil and try to make money for us. What do you think the game, and it doesn't have to be something we like, what do you think the game that would just make the most money right now, that I guess isn't Grand Theft Auto, but that might be the one, but something, if you could streamline it, what is the thing that you could put out as a company and make the most money off of? Like, if you could take all the aspects of things, because I'm like, damn, so, I don't know what you put out at this point.
Well, but I think that question comes down to a core of my problem with all of these corporate motherfuckers.
That doesn't matter.
No. What my thing is that games are selling.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's so frustrating about all this shit, is that games are selling very well.
Julian, doesn't matter. That's not the question. The question is the most money, because that's the only right answer to these motherfuckers. And I knew you were going to say that. And I was like, no, Julian, not the question. I was
right
waiting
into your
for
trap.
it. Yeah. It was like, that is not the question. These people suck. What is the thing that if you were on like you're like, okay, I gotta pitch something that makes money. What am I pitching to these motherfuckers?
It's Grand Theft Auto 6.
It probably is.
Yeah.
But you're not Rockstar. What are you doing?
Honestly, to me, and maybe this is me being too like positive, but I have reason for it. To me, it's a new IP.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
Yeah. And, like, I don't even really have a genre in mind or anything like that. I think the thing that's been so frustrating with Sony lately is that, they let the Killzone people who had been making the same game for like over a decade do something new.
Yeah.
And guess what? It was like one of the best selling Sony franchises of all time. Yeah. But their response to that was, well, now this is all you can do. Right.
Yeah.
And then same thing. And then Naughty Dog also, right? Like Naughty Dog, proven hit maker.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, like Last of Us takes off in a way that their other games had not. And then it's like, this is all you can do now. And it's
That's
like,
all you do now.
But they have a proven track record of coming up with interesting new IP. So maybe let them do now, if they want to do more Last of Us, if that's the thing that company wants to do, fine. I'm not going to argue that. But I bet they've got some ideas where they're like, no, we want to do this, this, and this. And it's not Uncharted and it's not Last of Us.
Well, no, that's all they do now. They found their moneymaker. If you're a new studio just dangling by a thread, what is the most money-making thing that you can make? That's the question. I will pose that to everybody out there. And again, I can't stress this enough. It's not something that you want to see or like. It is what will make the most money. Cause like, okay, Call of Duty, that's all Activision ever did at a certain point. That's it. Mm-hmm. That's all they have. What if you need your moneymaker so that you can do your other bullshit? Square is kind of trying to find theirs at this point.
I think that there's an avenue to take like I've been saying for a while, to take the survival genre and turn it into something that does, obviously like Minecraft is like ridiculously, like successful, but something that breaks into the mainstream. I mean, that is Minecraft. What am I trying to say? You know how like a lot of the Sony first party stuff routinely is selling like double digit millions, right? Because of and it's selling on the basis of like the stories and the worlds and stuff like that.
Right.
I think there is like a way where you can convert like those Minecraft kids over into something that has a lot of that type of game loop that they're familiar with, but also has like a really engaging narrative and character and world and stuff like that gets them like emotionally invested in a way that kind of hits big. That's the only thing I can really think of off the top of my head, because like a lot of the stuff is like a lot of the trends right now, I don't understand why people are chasing after them. Like I have never understood the quest for the Destiny model, because Destiny never has seemed to do particularly well.
It's not a great trend. No.
That Marvel Rivals looks pretty sweet. It's basically it straight up is Marvel Overwatch. Like they straight up like ripped like the font out of Overwatch, but it's like, but that's chocolate and peanut butter right there.
Yeah.
So like work. that feels like a license to print money.
Yeah. Could work. No,
never mind. No. Another idea. So for years I was like, why didn't anybody try to do a Harry Potter MMO? Because like I think the idea of a school-based like MMO where you're also doing like fighty stuff is really cool.
Yeah.
But Harry Potter is like radioactive. Naruto. Yeah. I think like, and I'm again, the MMORPG is not necessarily, it's not a growth market there.
Yeah, that's tough to break into. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the concept, My Hero Academia would be another good example.
Yeah, maybe.
Where it's like you have the school, so like, and that's all based around like learning new skills and leveling up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's already baked into your gameplay. And if the game stuff, it's, the actual mechanics and combat is good enough, like, I think that could actually hit beyond the anime,
think from
fans.
A monetary standpoint, when you incorporate a license into something, though,
it's always a risk.
It is, because you kind of limit your audience. Like, it has to be really good for somebody to like a Naruto.
And you're also having to pay the licensing fee.
A Naruto game would have to fucking be mind blowing for me to play it. Because like, I don't give a shit about Naruto. I'm sorry, Naruto fans. I just don't care.
But this would have a character creator, Justin.
Yeah, but it's
also an MMO.
Designs.
You couldn't give a shit about an MMO.
It's an MMO, and I don't really like the designs in Naruto, so I don't know if I could get into that. My pitches are mostly like just what I like, core things that I think people are looking for in like you said, like a new IP, because I think that's where you need to set a new thing for people to get excited about. So I've been like, okay, what are the things that seem to sell well? First off, the Breath of the Wild open world type thing that seems to sell pretty well.
And surprisingly has not been aped nearly as much as I expected it to after Breath of the Wild came out.
I mean, it has been here and there, but it's tough to get it right, and that's the problem. But if you really focused on a franchise that really did something like that and tried to do it, that is a core component, I think, that people would be into, because like Elden Ring sold pretty damn well. Breath of the Wild
Ring sold fucking ridiculously well.
Breath of the
40 million units, dude.
Tears of the Kingdom sold pretty fucking well. So that right there tells me that seems to be a thing. I know that one's a Zelda game, but the other one ain't. It seems to be that type of design people into. Fair. Also, if we want to get the mainstream people in there, guns. We need guns. Gotta have them. Just people like guns. I don't care about guns, but motherfuckers love them some guns. Do the character designs have to be particular? You just need real. They gotta be real as shit. Fucking like Last of Us. Them motherfuckers are real. That's a real dude. Fucking Call of Duty, they got fucking Nicki Minaj in there. She's a real person. I know that she exists.
She's like 47.3% real.
Fair.
Let's be
but
fair.
She's real. She exists. So you gotta have some real looking motherfuckers, and then the story, I don't know, it's gotta be gritty as shit. People want to kill other people. None of this monster and fantasy shit. People want to kill other people. They gotta do it. That's what everybody. So it's just a big shootout on a Zelda open world map. I don't know what the actual game is, but there's just, there's probably like buildings, and then you're like, oh, this is neat. This was a mall once, and then like all of a sudden you got to shoot a bunch of guys. It'll make millions. We'll all love it. Or we'll probably won't, but other people will. You have to make the mainstream take notice. We have to knock Call of Duty off its pedestal. It's got to have multiplayer too.
That so many people have been successful trying to go after the Call of Duty crown.
Well, it's not first person. That's how we get them. We're gonna make it's not a battle royale. You're just gonna walk around, and it's kind of like GTA Online in that way. It's a big map that there's a lot of stuff to discover, but all of a sudden a guy will show up and he'll throw a grenade at you. But there's no cars because that's too Grand Theft Auto.
This is really depressing me, Justin.
I know, Julian. It's very depressing. I was thinking about this for like an hour today, and I was like, this is depressing to think about, because that's sadly the shit that makes money, man. I mean, other than
it's that, and it's also, that this is what like the suits who don't know any shit are coming up with and pitching at the board meetings.
Right. Yeah.
Why don't you do let's have it be like Zelda, but just a shit ton of guns. Yeah. We'll sell skins for the guns, and we'll do this and that, and
you can buy a new
battle
shirt.
pass.
You can buy a new shirt. Look at all these shirts. That's good. These are nice shirts. Maybe next season we'll put shorts in there.
I was actually thinking about the Final Fantasy thing because Nextlander was positing, like, is Final Fantasy not cool enough anymore? Citing the disappointing sales of Rebirth and Final Fantasy 16. My thinking for a lot of this is, they happen to be on consoles that still don't have the install base that the PlayStation 4 did. So there's that issue. We're also in like just a really shitty place in with the economy right now for most people where it is prohibitively expensive to pay $70 for a game. But I think there's an additional problem that I was actually thinking of, and I was actually thinking about that. I got like a stuff to, snacks before the show, and I was driving back home, and I was like, you know what? It's probably time to take the numbers off of the mainline Final Fantasy series.
It's possible. Because
I think that actually is holding people back, because you will always have that thing.
You're always going to have that mainline person or mainstream. I don't mean I say that so derogatory, but your average Joe is going to see that number and go, "Well, I don't know what the fuck that is going on with the other six." I've been asked about that before by just a regular guy, and I'm like, "Oh no."
And even when you tell people, no, they're not connected, so you can start anywhere. Yeah. There are plenty of people out there with a certain mindset of, but I need to know. Mike Fallick is one of those. He said it on the show. He's like, I can't start in the middle. I have to see the whole thing.
I get it.
Right? There's people with the Yakuza series like that where, me, it's like, no, I've kind of like darted around in the series and I've been fine.
Yakuza's, it
tells you what you need to know.
Yeah, pretty much
in each game.
Yep.
But there are plenty of people who it's a hard thing to overcome. And it's like, I almost think that maybe they need to do the Elder Scrolls thing where it says like Final Fantasy 17 in really small letters at the top. And then the actual subtitle is the title.
Is the title. Yeah. That could work.
To where then you get a situation where they're not Final Fantasy fans. They're
fans
whatever
of this game.
The thing is.
That's technically the Final Fantasy game. Yeah, that could work.
And then the same thing with Rebirth, right? It is a sequel to a game that came out 4 years ago. So if you didn't play Remake,
Rebirth was their expectations of that were always doomed because of that exact reason.
And also Remake didn't actually sell as well as they were
as they thought it would.
I will say that didn't sell as well as I expected it to either, because I felt that like the clamor for that was so intense that I was actually surprised when it didn't hit the numbers that I thought it would.
They took too long. Is what happened.
If they had been able to deliver that around the PS3 era, like after they showed that
showed that one thing, absolutely,
people would have been all over it.
People would have lost their minds, but they waited too long. They let that hype die down. And then when they kind of showed it back off, it was like, it's not as quite what I thought it was going to be, even though it looked great, but it's
also a very inconsistent game as far as like the way it looks. Like, all the characters that have names look incredible, and everybody else looks like they're from a different game.
Also, your target audience for that, with putting the remake part of it on there, is sure, you're going to get some new fans that don't know Final Fantasy VII, but a lot of your target audience is like people that played that game before.
Yes.
And I could imagine like people who, remember Final Fantasy VII and a bit more, mainstream kind of gamers that remember that game fondly and are like, oh, cool, they remade that? That's awesome. I'll play that. Go into it and go, this is not that game. This is not what I remember at all. And then immediately they're not going to come back for the sequel that happens, You're not going to get that.
Or they wait until it's all out and then they go back when they're cheap.
Or they have an Xbox and not a PlayStation. Yeah. As stupid as that sounds, that's a big thing with them. The exclusivity is really hurting them, I think.
Yeah, I was really surprised that Remake never made it to Xbox. Like, I expected that to happen after at least a year, if not 2 years. And now we're at, over 4, and there's not even an announcement of it being in development. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. Same thing with 16. I expected 16 to be coming to Xbox now.
That has been a thing that I think they said was like, no, we really have to start hitting multiple platforms with stuff. And it's like, you like, I know the PlayStation 5 is very, very popular, and I get why. And I get it. It is extremely popular. But at the same time, you are cutting your your possible install base off a little bit when you do that by a lot. You know, obviously you're not going to put Final Fantasy 16 on the Switch. That's not going to work out. But like, there is a world where and you know, their vision of Final Fantasy kind of hurts it in this way, where you could kind of scale those games back maybe a little bit, like, you know, with the graphics, and it can be a different type of thing, you know, where you
I've been saying that for years, man.
I know you have, and you're onto something, really.
And, you know, when they did Bravely Default and Octopath, at least those first games sold significantly higher than their expectations.
Right.
Now maybe the sequels didn't sell quite as well as those games, but can't really explain that. But yeah, you know, one thing that I'd meant to bring up, you know, when we're talking about Xbox, is that there's that quote, and I think it's a developer, and so I never remember who it's attributed to, but, you know, the concept of, I want shorter games that look worse, that are made by people who are paid more. And I'm not joking. It's like, no, as much as I love the awesome graphics, right? Like, I am part of the problem. I'm a big snob. Spider-Man 2 didn't have to go as hard as it did. When I heard about like how much they spent on that game and how, you know, like, and it was still really successful, but I was like, yeah, you guys could have, like, you know, reduced this game by 30%. And honestly, it would have been a better game in my opinion. And it would have been cheaper, and like, people still would have enjoyed it. Right. Like, now gamers are definitely part to blame, right? Because they'll get all pissed off if things don't look better. But I think if you have enough games in a row where it's like, they're kind of like holding a line, and they're not really like, or they're even scaling things back a little bit, but being more stylistic. I think at some point you train the audience to be like, but it's still a good game.
Nintendo does that all the time.
Yes.
Like, that's what they do. Like as much as you and I, you know, we have our opinions on Nintendo, you know, but like, the
games are great. Like, they're always really well made.
That's what
like,
I mean. You know,
and my problem for years has been Nintendo hardware, not Nintendo software.
Right. No, exactly. But to their credit, they make games for their hardware for the most part. They're gonna run, you know, on that hardware. Like, you know, maybe not as good as they could run on that hardware, or on hardware, period, if they had better stuff. But like, Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild have a style, like, and people love that shit. It works. You know?
And like I said, you know, like I don't like the graphical style of Elden Ring as much as I love that game. Like, if it looked more like a Zelda, like, I'd be way more interested in that game. And again, you know, I really love Elden Ring, and I'll talk about it a little bit later, but like, you know, there are design aspects of it that don't.
Absolutely.
Me, right?
You're never going to please everyone with
of
what
course
you
not.
make. You're never going to please everyone.
But like, a good example, like, you know, of course there's going to be a third Horizon game, and I'm all for it. I can't wait. Like, I know it's going to be a while, but at the same time, it's like, man, but I wish that they wouldn't try to make it look much better than Forbidden West. Like, I wish that they would just focus in on the gameplay and the story, and maybe tighten some stuff up and improve some certain elements.
Fix the inventory.
Fix the climbing.
Make
right?
weapons mean something. Yeah. God, there's a lot of shit they need to fucking do with the gameplay systems and that.
I don't want to have to haul around 3 versions of the same bow because it does different things, right? Like, that's so dumb.
God, I hate, that.
But graphically, I'm like, no, it can look exactly like Forbidden West, and it would still be one of the best looking games that comes out that year.
That'll be fine. You won the graphics war. It's fine. You don't gotta, you know, they will. I get it.
No, they will.
They want to show up the heart. I get it. But but then it won't make enough. They'll spend a shitload of money because they have new groundbreaking technology, and we got to use it because it looks cool. And then it won't make its money back or something, or it'll make, you know, and then they'll go, but it didn't make that much money, guys. So we, you know,
I don't know, because like, Forbidden West still sold. I don't think it sold as much as Zero Dawn, but I think it's still. If it didn't hit double-digit millions, it still did high millions.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying it didn't.
But again, but then it comes down to but the number didn't go up.
But yeah,
right. Even though it made a ridiculous amount of money, number didn't go up.
Number did not go up. We must make number go up. it cannot go down or to the side. Must go up. Must go very up. That's the problem with, I think, just the video games industry as a whole.
I just imagine people in the boardrooms on like for these companies just like talking on like Cro-Magnon levels and like throwing their feces at each other. But they make more money than you or I will ever make in our entire lives combined.
The worst thing that happened to the video games industry, in my opinion, is these companies going public, because now you have stockholders that don't know shit about shit in video games, and they're just fucking like,
it's that combined with like, and I don't know when this started happening, but the venture capital infusion into the industry, because it used to be that you had your game publishers, and at least at the publishers, like they had people at those companies that knew stuff, knew shit, right? So like, and because there are times where the developer needs to be reined in, right? Yeah, sometimes the developer needs to have deadlines and needs to be told no, right? And that's what the publisher would do. But it seems like now it's less about a publisher, and it's more about the board. Yeah. Right. Exactly. And the venture capitalist and who doesn't give they just see it as the investment, and they don't know anything about the product. Games
take a while to make. And when that number doesn't go up like they want it to, and all you can do is go, but guys, when it comes out, we promise it's going to make this much money. And then when it doesn't, then what? Like, so.
And I also feel that like, those numbers need to be more realistic. Like I will always go back to Tomb Raider 2013.
Oh yeah.
Because Tomb Raider 2013 sold, I want to say it was like 5 or 6 million, like in that first month. And I looked back and I was like, when was the last time that the series sold? Because they expected it to sell, I think, more than 8 million. And I was like, when was the last time that Tomb Raider sold 8 million copies? It was Tomb Raider fucking 2, Justin.
That sounds right.
Right? Yeah. And so, but if you look at the previous Tomb Raider game, which I think at that point was Underworld, which I really love that one.
Was it Underworld, or was it that like weird, that kind of remake one?
No, the remake came out before Underworld.
Okay, all right.
The anniversary one, yeah.
Yes, okay.
Because that was like Crystal Dynamics' first Tomb Raider game.
Gotcha.
And then Underworld was like their first original Tomb Raider game.
Gotcha, yeah.
And that game, I think, sold like somewhere around like 2 or 3 million units. So yeah, 2013 did significantly better than the previous handful of Tomb Raider games, which is really good for them, like rebooting a series that had been dormant for a few years at that point already.
Yeah.
And maybe they spent too much on the development because Tomb Raider 2013 still looks like a very expensive game.
Oh yeah, but yeah, for sure.
Did nobody look at the historic numbers of the series, and you were shooting for the numbers that it sold at the apex of its popularity,
and maybe
when it was white hot.
maybe somebody on the development side or on the is giving those numbers so that they can get the game that they want to get made. But
possibly.
But then what happens when it doesn't do that?
Yeah.
Like it's
you've got to take the Scotty approach, not the Geordie LaForge approach. Right. Scotty would, he's like in that episode where he is working with LaForge, he's like, how long is it really going to take to do the repairs?
Right.
And Geordie's like, no, it's going to take 7 hours. He's like, lad, you gotta bump up the thing, because otherwise you never look like you're performing miracles.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, like that's what it has to be. It's like you need to like be lowballing these expectations, and then if it comes out ahead of that, then awesome, right? Like, yeah.
Video games, they're great.
We're in a real rough patch. Like,
it is.
Next month is my favorite time of year for video games, which is, what used to be E3. Now I just call it E3 season.
Oh man, it is going to be interesting as shit.
Yeah, because I'm always excited for new stuff, and like there's things that have long been announced that I'm looking forward to actually seeing for the first time.
Right.
And also like Sony, I'm like, yo, Sony, where's your games? Like, you don't even have anything announced right now for the most part. I don't like at this point, even though like I hate CG trailers and I hate like logo trailers, it's like, just let me know like what Sucker Punch and Naughty Dog and Insomniac are well, I guess we know what Insomniac's working on, but like, it's like we don't even know. Like we don't even know. Like, let me like if it's The Last of Us 3, then let me know that so that I can frame my expectations. Cause like, that's not what I want from Naughty Dog, but at the same time, I really liked the way Last of Us 2 played. So I am down for like, now that they actually made a game that feels good to play for the first time ever.
They nailed it.
Fight me. Like I wouldn't mind seeing like a third iteration of that with that gameplay.
No, I gotcha. I
really want to see the IO interactive Bond game. I really want to see what they do with James Bond after Hitman.
Yeah.
I really want to see Fable because I'm a big Fable fan. Although I heard something really disturbing on, I think it was Castle Super Beast, where apparently for a while there, Fable, what they were working on didn't have a sense of humor. And I'm like, then what are we even doing here, guys? Like that's kind of Fable's whole shtick, is that it's fantasy, but it's tongue-in-cheek fantasy.
But what if it was dark and gritty and it had a open world like Elden Ring or Zelda
with some guns?
Yes, with guns.
Yeah,
we throw a gun in there. You set it at a time period, and you have a gun.
Purchasable gun skins.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Then it could make. Then we got something.
Yeah.
Also, there's a dog.
Put Master Chief in there.
No, that might be too much. We have to like pay money for that license. So no, Microsoft, right?
Yeah, we're
do
Microsoft.
That. Yeah, okay, we could do that. All right, yeah, why not?
Yeah,
he's not doing anything.
You had Master Chief armor in Fable 2, so it's not that much of a stretch. Honestly,
he's not doing anything right now, Julian.
He's not.
No.
Well, actually, he is running for the Republican nomination for president.
Oh, well, good for him.
Yeah.
But yeah. We'll see how that stuff goes. I don't. When is all that stuff exactly? Is it in beginning of June? Yeah.
I think it's more mid-June.
Mid-June, somewhere around in there.
I think what I want to do is whenever it's done that week, like I want to that'll be the episode. Like we won't talk about any of our stuff. It'll just be, whatever skits we want to do, but like the actual conversation, I think will just be that stuff. Cause I still, even as reserved as I am going into this one, because things have been so shitty for the games industry for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
It's still new games, and I'm excited about new games. I love video games.
I'm going to watch it. So yeah, why not? Well, video games, they're still out there. They'll make money. They'll figure out how to make money with them one of these days. I tell you what.
I need to get up. This saddened me. I'll be back.
Okay.
Take that!
Ooh.
Haha! Another enemy felled.
Okay.
Andor, would you mind raising our good friend the Bard there? He's been out of it for a bit.
Do it.
Have I?
Okay, yeah, I guess.
God damn it, Mike.
I guess I can do it. How do I do that again? I'm new to this. I don't know how this goes. Do I have to use a spell slot for that? Is that a thing?
I think so. I just swing the swords, man.
All right.
You're the cleric.
All right. Why did you make me the cleric? I don't know how to play this. All right. Who's the dungeon master? Are they around? How do I do this?
Guys, is this real? Come on.
Okay. All right. I'm trying. Listen.
Okay, and I am risen.
All right.
Happy Easter. Is this real? Who cares?
Well, I didn't do it.
Guys, there's make believe, and then there's my Friday night.
I mean, yeah, that's. Oh, well.
I have been dead for 3 episodes of Grey's Anatomy. You're saying we're not watching Grey's Anatomy. Some asshole across the street is. That's what I've been doing, is watching it through his. I want to play. What was that?
What
was that?
I don't know.
Did you just get angry at me, Julian Karnoff, because I spoke before I was risen from the dead?
No. Look, I don't know.
I have eaten all the Cheetos. I am on a diet. This is ridiculous.
It's just, you kind of weren't really pulling your weight in that last battle, man. I don't even know what it is you do with your little plunky plunk with the loot.
He's a good supporter of the thing. I just listen. I forgot.
I'm sorry. I didn't know this was IBM D&D. I didn't know I needed to tell you my quarterly earnings. Is this what do I have? I'm just playing.
Hey, listen, Steve the Bard.
Don't call me by my character. What are you doing?
Well, listen. If you would just learn a couple John Cougar Mellencamp songs, maybe we would revive you faster.
That would be helpful.
I don't like him because of his association with the Real Housewives. A joke that no one who would have heard this conversation, if they were listening to a conversation about D&D, would understand that joke.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, because I know what I do, right? Like I swing the sword and I make the goblins go dead, right?
Yeah.
And Andor, he make the spells go fly, and heals you when you're on the ground. Yeah. I don't really know what you do. Like,
could you have done any of that if Hot Cross Buns wasn't playing?
Yes, absolutely, yes.
That's such bullshit. That's such bullshit. You couldn't do that if I wasn't playing Hot Cross Buns.
Yeah.
On a recorder or a lute, as it would have been called at the time, if that's what a lute is.
I feel that I could have swung my swords better if Hot Cross Buns was not playing during that time.
I don't know. I mean, it has a good rhythm to it.
Thank you.
It has a good rhythm.
Thank you.
You know,
I just find it highly distracting.
I mean, listen, it's my fault. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to play the game. You gotta,
No, Justin, you're fine. You're fine. Okay.
I don't know about that.
It's Mike. It's Mike. Okay.
I mean,
like I didn't want to say it out loud, but it's been Mike the whole time.
When I was dead, I wasn't actually dead. I heard you guys talking shit about me.
I didn't do any of that.
I heard you guys talking shit about me the whole time.
I was talking shit about John Cougar Mellencamp. Have you heard Small Town? He just says the word small town over and over again.
I have said this story 1,000 times. This is
why
about
John Cougar Mellencamp.
Please, just the story I'm going to tell. Please just let me say it
about
again,
John Cougar Mellencamp. Right.
Tolerate. It's not about that. I only told you that story in confidence. First of all,
it's a song about how he is. This the story about how he became the cougar?
I have heard the story of the song Rock the Casbah, and as far as I'm concerned, that ended the Gulf War, and so I felt as though I was going to base my character, Steve, on the guy who wrote that song, Rock the Casbah, who may or may not be named Steve, and I thought that would help.
Yeah. I became a cleric because we keep watching Grey's Anatomy through the window over there, so, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's fair.
Listen to this spell. Okay. Listen to this spell. This is a bard cantrip. Okay. I get to use this every battle. Yeah. Okay. Give you +1 or -1, depending on success, to melee-based attacks using elven weapons. Come on. That is so fucking useful.
That is, yeah.
How would you fight without that?
Yeah. Okay. Let's try that real quick. Go ahead and cast that on me.
Well, he only has so many spell slots, Julian. Is it a cantrip?
It's a cantrip.
You guys don't listen to me.
I don't know how to play the game. I'm asking. I'm learning about things.
Listen, I just cast it -1.
Yeah, that's what I figured. That's usually what happens. Yeah. Let's just move on.
Okay. What about oboe stab?
Oh, that's pretty good. That sounds useful.
With an oboe.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Oboe will fuck you up,
dude. Yeah.
All right. You know what?
Heavy.
I'm sorry, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Thank you. Don't leave me dead the whole time again.
No, that's on me. I should have asked earlier.
I've eaten 9 bags of Cheetos. I'm not going to be able to play the rest of the game because I'm going to be shitting my pants out.
Are they the little bags?
I've lost. Like, you understand when you're bored, like you just keep eating.
Yeah.
I don't know. I felt myself do this, like the we put your thumbs. I felt myself do that 9 times. I don't know if they're Cheetos.
They're probably.
I opened 9 bags of something, and since this is your house, Justin, I'm a little concerned that you don't know what type of bag of Cheetos this is.
Yeah, no, I am too.
What did I eat?
Because all I bought bought recently was rice cakes. So I don't know what.
Can't be that.
Yeah,
can't be that. I would have vomited because they're disgusting.
I don't know. I mean, they're pretty good. You ever had?
I like them. It's like eating dry wood.
Yeah,
guys. Can we loot these goddamn goblins and move on?
I'm not touching them.
Ooh, gotta say, as a musician, I have to earn it. When you see the Southern Cross, everyone sing on. When you see, sing on. When you see the Southern Cross.
I was born in a small town.
For the first time.
Something, small town.
A
small town.
I'm gonna roll my busking skill.
Wrote that song.
I'm gonna roll my busking skill. I did fail, so it's gonna keep singing a new
okay,
song.
all right. More John Cougar. Hurt so good. Come on, baby, make it hurt so good. Well, now that he's gone, now we can really rap. I don't know why I say that every time Julian leaves, and I don't even know if he leaves these in. I've been thinking a lot about. I haven't really been thinking a lot about stuff actually. This whole thing. I've recently been talking to a friend of mine about the Chrysler Sebring convertible and how it could be the right car for you and yours. They don't make it anymore, but that's not a problem, because you go to a used car dealership and you buy it from there, and that's fine. And so me and this friend, he was interested in the Chrysler Sebring convertible. And I fully support him, because I'm a good friend, I think. And I was like, so I looked it up on the internet where he could buy one. And I was like, hey man, if we go to Illinois right now, we could buy you a Chrysler Sebring convertible for about $8,000 or $7,000. And it's the good one. It's the limited. That's the one you want. That they didn't make a lot of those. They were limited. But they had like the leather seats and all that stuff. And he was like, that's true. And I was like, yeah, we could go do that. And he's like, but the problem is, how am I going to get there? I don't have a Chrysler Sebring convertible to drive to buy the Chrysler Sebring convertible. I was like, well, listen, if we drive less time to go buy this lesser model of it for $5,000, we could take that one to buy the other Chrysler Sebring convertible. And so, we could have done it, but we didn't. We didn't buy a Chrysler Sebring convertible yet, but we could do it. He also was concerned about how we were going to get it back, because, as good as the Chrysler Sebring convertible is, let's face it, it's not going to haul your other Chrysler Sebring convertible back, a few states, right? You're going to be at a standstill there. So, you get into that situation. But the long and the short of it is, if you get a Chrysler Sebring convertible, I've driven one. I learned how to drive in the Chrysler Sebring convertible, right? And that's, so I know how to drive it. And I told him that. I was like, listen, I know how to drive it. And he's like, well, here's the problem. If I let you drive my Chrysler Sebring convertible, you're just gonna keep it, because it's, there's no better car than that. And I was like, that's fair. I probably will never do it. Oh, hi Julian, how you doing?
I'm better.
You're back. That's good. I'm glad that you're back.
I did some soul searching. If you want to make extra money in the games industry, one thing that you can do is strike a lucrative brand deal with a cross promotion type thing.
I thought you were going to say sell your Chrysler Sebring convertible, and I was like, that would work.
That's only going to get you so far.
Yeah, it's true. Then you won't have one anymore. So
exactly.
What are you going to do?
No, because I am probably going to be purchasing over the next few months around 50 bottles of Mountain Dew.
Okay.
Because of the Final Fantasy XIV tie-in shit.
Oh.
There's an in-game mount that's relatively cheap, but there's also this really dumbass Final Fantasy XIV t-shirt that's like 4,000 points.
Yeah.
That is green with like the mother crystal and a hand with a bottle of Mountain Dew that says, I drank the dew. And It's the stupidest fucking shirt I've seen in a long time, and I want it.
Yeah, that sounds awful. But good at the same time somehow.
Exactly. Just like this podcast.
Yeah. Well, if I was making a video game and I was a small up-and-coming indie developer, I would hold a parade and I would put a Chrysler Sebring convertible in it, and I'd have people sit in the back of it and wave to advertise my game.
Yeah. Seems like a good idea.
Yeah.
You can also start a Patreon like we have.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah,
I think it's a good time to thank our lovely patrons.
We haven't made enough to buy a Chrysler Sebring convertible just yet, but we'll get there.
Not
one day.
yet. I would like the Patreon to continue to grow so that we can have some folding money. That would be nice. We appreciate all of our patrons, but every week we thank our executive producer tier. So this week we have Xavier Krager.
We have Stephen Lobo.
We have Philip P.K. Becker.
We have Matt Jorgensen.
We have Exrian.
We have David Portnov.
We have Casey Curran.
And we have Bookie.
Yeah, I switched it up on y'all this week. Reverse order. Yeah. Never know what to expect with the Stage Select podcast.
You got him.
And yeah, you can go find the Patreon in the link tree in the show notes. Once again, for as little as $1 a month, you can get the show 2 days early, as well as vote for the games in the Suffer Select. And that first edition of the Suffer Select will be available to all paid patrons. So if you just want to throw $1 in for a month or two and kind of look around, that's definitely an avenue.
Yeah.
The $3 and $5 tiers get access to all of our bonus, most of our bonus specials. There will be eventually some like executive producer tier exclusive content, but we're not quite there yet.
What's the limit on tiers that you can put on Patreon?
You can have quite a few. I don't know what the limit is.
Okay. What's the limit of how much money people can give you? Is because
I don't know. You can have ridiculously priced tiers for sure.
Okay, I was wondering because what we should do, Julian, is we start a Chrysler Sebring convertible tier, and it's $7,000 a month, but it'll buy us a Chrysler Sebring convertible every month, but we have to use it for that. So we just keep collecting them, right? And then we have a lot of Chrysler Sebring convertibles that we don't know what to do with. But it'll be great because people will just keep buying us them, and then we'll have them all. It's like Pokemon, really.
That would slowly kill us both with the insurance cost.
No, you don't have to buy insurance for it. You just never drive it. You just put it.
That's fair.
We get a lot somewhere, and we just store them.
Okay.
We go look at them, and we'll have all the limiteds. I'm going to steal a joke from a friend of mine. We'll have all the limiteds sit next to the lesser model Chrysler Sebring convertibles, and we'll tell them all that why aren't you as good as your brother? It'll be great.
This is exactly what billionaires do with money, except with Chrysler Sebrings.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good idea. They're onto something. Those billionaires.
Yeah. Just hoard it all.
Yeah.
Get no no actual use out of it. Just keep it from others.
Yeah, it'll be, this is a good, they made those up to 2016. You're fucking kidding me. Hold on. I'm sorry. Oh, okay. This is no longer here. I don't want targeting cookies. Get out of here. Okay. This is going to take a while, Julian. Continue the show.
Okay, I will do that.
Yeah,
I do have. So, I'll go with this next. So, Diablo 4 had a significant update this week.
Oh, cool.
They started their 4th season, but the season is just called the season of loot or something along those lines, or loot enhanced. Mm-hmm. It's basically what they did with Diablo 3 with the loot 2.0 system.
Okay,
where they basically fixed the game, and it's kind of crazy. Because you would think with game development, obviously we don't know exactly how the sausage is made, but my instinct is that you get most of the people who worked on Diablo 3 for all those years, and you have them move over to Diablo 4, and so they at least have the core concept down. Obviously, there's going to be differences in mechanics and level structure and stuff like that, but the core feel and loop of the game should kind of be a solved problem at this point, especially when Diablo 3 did restructure that loop to make it more fun and more engaging.
Yeah.
But Diablo 4 did not launch like that. And this loot enhancement system pretty much addresses every problem that I had with Diablo 4 so far. I don't know if it addresses the enemies scaling with you in level. I don't know if that fixes it.
Right.
But I started a new character. I started a seasonal character because I wasn't sure initially if you had to start a seasonal character to, kind of get access to all of the new shit. So I was just like, okay, I'll mess around with this just to see.
Yeah.
In half an hour, my character was one level away from my original character that I had played a couple hours on.
Right.
The ramp is just so much faster and so much smoother.
Okay.
For that stuff. It feels good now. It feels like you're actually getting new stuff constantly. I know they significantly reworked like how loot drops and how much loot drops. I haven't played enough of the game, in either incarnation to really be able to notice that yet.
Okay.
But then yesterday, I also fired up a new story character because you can skip the story in season mode.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, I at least want to see the story once because, I'm a story guy. So I started a necromancer because I wanted to see, okay, but is this only for seasonal characters or is the progression now this? And yeah, it's that now. So I skipped the cutscenes because, I've seen them very recently, but I was going through the intro area and stuff like that. And my character was almost level 4 by the time I finished that first little mini dungeon. And I was like, all right, this is kind of what I was missing from this game. So that is a massive improvement to it. There's no room for it in my current gaming schedule, but it is now on my list of stuff to play in the near future.
Okay.
I think maybe once I'm done with the Elden Ring DLC, that'll be the slot where this goes in.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll talk about Elden Ring a little later. But,
okay.
Because I don't have much more to say about Diablo 4 right now, but they fixed it.
Cool.
It feels like they shouldn't have needed to. It feels like this is how I think the game should have felt out of the box, and it's bonkers to me that it wasn't this.
Right.
But now it feels like the type of game that I want to play. It feels a lot more in line with Diablo 3, where it's just boom, boom, boom. Like constant, influx of the dopamine of the good button in your brain. You're always leveling up, getting new abilities or getting new loot or blah blah blah, and it's that is the loop, right? That is the reason why I put hundreds of hours into Diablo 3 over a decade.
Right.
So
that you do like that game, so that's cool. Maybe Diablo 4 could make a comeback for you. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm at least interested enough to at least go through the story once. Where when I tried it a couple episodes ago or so, I was like, man, I don't know if this just feels so slow and plotting, and I just don't know if this is for me. And now it feels a lot better.
Yeah. I gotcha. So, I'm sorry. I'm looking, I'm kind of stuck here.
Yeah. You absorbed about 15% of that last.
Yeah. I apologize. I've been looking at the Chrysler 200, which is not a Chrysler Sebring convertible. And that's what they made in the year 2016. It was the Chrysler 200. But it has a cloth top, and I just keep thinking that should be banned, because it throws me off. Is it a convertible? I don't know. It doesn't say it is, so now I don't know. Also, whenever you go on a website to look at cars for a bit, they just immediately message you, and I'm like, dude, it's fucking midnight. You're not available. Shut up.
But the AI is, Justin.
Yeah,
the AI is always available.
I should start asking them questions about things just to see what happens. But I won't.
There was that guy who negotiated a $1 sale with a AI chatbot on a dealership.
Ooh, that's what I got to do. That's okay. Well, enough about the Chrysler Sebring convertible. I also forgot about the Chrysler Crossfire. That was a car that existed. Do you remember that car? It was a little 2-seater. It's funny.
Was the PT Cruiser Chrysler?
Yes, it was.
Hated the PT Cruiser.
Well, listen, Julian.
Friend of the show, John Gholson, had one. And I was just like, this is very you, but this is very not me.
Yeah. It's not for everybody. What are you going to do?
Yeah. It had purple flame decals, which I thought was hilarious because it was a fucking PT Cruiser.
Hell yeah. Why wouldn't it have that? That's fucking you're out of your mind. That's what it should have. That's good.
Sure.
Okay. Well, I only have one. I only have one more thing to talk about video game wise. And that's I've been playing a lot of fucking stupid tennis. Topspin 2K25. I keep playing it.
Had to wash that tennis elbow taste out of your mouth.
No, actually, it was like I started playing that again. Like I just started playing it again because I don't know why. I was just like, it's there, and I was bored, and I was like, this is something to do for a little while. Let's do this. And then I kind of got like frustrated with aspects of that game, which I still do. When it comes to like the career mode and how it operates, because like it kind of, you get to points in it where you're just like at a standstill, where you're just like, I can't really afford to get anything, or after a certain point you actually start getting a pretty good amount of money for doing like the grand slams and stuff like that. And then you're like, okay, but I don't want anything in these stores, so I guess I just sit here and hoard this. And you just kind of get into a standstill with it. But I mean the store changes every day, so maybe you check in every day, and that's why I keep fucking going back to it, because sometimes I'm like, that is a pretty cool looking dress. I'm gonna buy that for my girl, and she's gonna wear it, and then I'm gonna go into this tournament, and I'm gonna be wearing it, and I'm gonna look cool. And I do. It's fun. It's something to do. I have a new goal for video games, and I don't know why. So I bought the version of that game so I could play it early, and I knew I was gonna end up enjoying it to some degree, and it came with a fucking battle pass, right? So that's fine. The golf, I think it's the same developer as the 2K golf game, like, because it's the same model with like all the stuff you can buy. And I've just developed a new goal that, you know what? I'm going to fucking finish this battle pass. I've never finished a single goddamn battle pass in my entire life because I don't care usually. I'm going to do it this time just to say I did it once. And I haven't done that yet. It's taking a long fucking time.
Well, Justin, what if I told you that you could pay some real ass money to accelerate said battle pass progress?
I could, but I'm almost there. I'm under 10 levels away from completing it.
Oh, okay.
So I'm almost there.
Battle passes aren't they weren't created for your type of gamer in mind.
No, absolutely not. Because I'm a crazy person who will sit there and play things for hours on end, and they're made for people that like, come back tomorrow and play a little bit more, and I'm like, I'm like, but no, I just want to keep going. What are we doing? And I don't want to stop right now. I just want to keep going. And it's like, and the game's like, I mean, I guess you can, but why? You won. Just come back tomorrow. And I'm like, but I don't want to. I'm here right now. What are we doing? But anyway, it's still fun. I actually found like a lot of ways to have a pretty good time in that game. I was like, oh, you know what? I progressed one character so far that I was just like, okay, they're kind of crazy and they're good. I don't need to do anything else with them. But what if I started a new game and I played it on an actual hard difficulty, because I realized that normal difficulty in that was like seriously just to teach you how the timing of the game works. Like it's made with like pretty, people that probably haven't played a tennis game before. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, when you play it on hard, it's like, oh yeah, this is how it's supposed to be, where I'm like, I actually gotta fucking try. Right. And it's not easy. Like I learned how like the sweat mechanic works in it. There's no like it's not like a mechanic per se, but like you progressively get very sweaty over time as your stamina goes down, like, because there's like, and it plays a factor in the whole thing if you have low stamina. But like at a certain point in one match, like my character just was drenched in sweat, and I was actually kind of impressed because it was like getting on the clothes and everything. Like it was, I was like, wow, that's, you know what? They went all out with this fucking sweat, man. I tell you what. Sometimes it looks bad though, because sometimes you'll just be a little sweaty, right? and they don't know how to do it. So it only affects like the back of their neck, and you can clearly see where it cuts off because that's where the head starts and where the body model starts. And it's like, oh, maybe didn't work that out too well. But you know what? They probably didn't get that much money to make a tennis game, so I can't blame them. I don't know, man. There's something about that stupid game that's fun. It's weird. I hate that I keep playing it.
I am honestly surprised that you didn't pick up Manor Lords, because that seemed like something that was like right up your alley.
I own it, and I bought it, and I just haven't played it yet. It's sitting. I
was thinking about it the other day. I was like, I thought for sure Justin would have talked about Manor Lords last week, and
no, it's sitting in my Steam library. I don't know why, I just haven't quite picked it up yet.
Another one of those success stories in a year of, really bad news. Like, this has been one of those like really nice feel good stories. That single developer.
It's usually single developer indie games. Yeah. Balatro was one for me where like it was just, one dude that made a little game that he was like, oh, nobody's going to care about this, and then blew the fuck up.
Yeah.
It blew up enough. I don't know if it blew the fuck up, but people like it. I own it on 2 fucking things and play it on both of them.
I can say pretty definitively that it's probably changed that person's life, right?
Yeah.
Like,
oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. I want it to listen, I don't care about phone games. I would play Balatro on my fucking phone.
Right.
That is a perfect phone game. I keep wanting to have it on that so I can show people that don't care about video games but know how to play cards because they're old. I'd be like, yo, check this out. What do you think of this? Stuff like that. But yeah, no, man, I was Manor Lords. Yeah, I have that. I'm pretty sure. I haven't installed it yet. It's just sitting here.
Right.
Yeah, no, I know. I know I probably like it. And I keep and I bought it because I was like, I'll get into this. But
yeah.
Just haven't booted it up yet.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Hello, my name is Everett Clare, and I'm running for the Democrat presidential nomination. I want to take the skills I learned leading the Dock Workers Union in Revachol to transform the video game industry. I care about you, the workers. This definitely has nothing to do with gaining power for myself, and I have zero ulterior motives. You can trust me on that.
You think about what the man just said. You feel compelled to vote for Everett Clare, paid for by the mega-rich light-bending guy.
Well, I've got one last thing, and it's really just a quick story. I continue to get my new Elden Ring character ready for the DLC. I guess that's one thing that I'm not sure if I was actually clear on, is that I'm not intending to finish the game with this character right now.
Right.
I'm just getting them set up to, like, there's 2 main things that you have to have completed to access the DLC, Shadow of the Erd Tree. You have to have defeated Radon, and you have to beat Moog, like the real Moog.
Oh, that's kind of tough. Yeah.
Yeah. Because the entrance to the DLC is, Miquella's egg.
Oh God, of course it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And one thing is that, like, so I did respec. I had a nice comment on our YouTube channel from last episode saying like, oh, you could totally make that Dragoon build work. And I was like, I probably could, but I think I didn't stress that I was just not having fun with it. That was kind of the big thing, is that like, it was working okay, and there were probably ways that I could tweak it to make it work better.
Right.
But like the actual just like moment to moment stuff, I was like, yeah, like it's a little too slow. The weapons are kind of boring to me. It's like, I just want to do something else. And so, I'm enjoying this Paladin build so far.
Yeah.
But I was still having like there was something that just wasn't clicking on this playthrough. And like, I was having a pretty hard time. Like I kind of got to this point where I was like, where am I supposed to go next? Because everything's kicking my ass
Yeah.
in a way that like I don't even remember like the first time through happening. And so because I had pretty much finished up Liurnia. Like I had gone all the way through the academy. I'd beaten Renala.
Oh, okay.
Like the next big thing there was to go through the dungeon to get. I mean, I had already been to the Altus Plateau because of my initial setup for the character, but I still like to go up the shaft to fight the magma worm and do all that shit anyway.
Yep.
And I had started that. I did do that, but I had gone into Kaled and I was kind of messing around there, and I was like, all right, yeah, let's start this quest for I forget her name, but like the girl that's infected with the scarlet rot. You're supposed to get like the needle.
Millicent.
Yes.
Yeah.
I kind of started that thing, and so you have to fight I think it's Commander O'Neill. In the Aeonian swamp.
Yep.
Yeah. And I go in there and I just get tore up real bad.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, I'm clearly not ready for this. So I went back to like Siofra River and started doing stuff down there. Came back after I was leveled up a bit, and it went better, but he was still kicking my ass. Yeah. And part of it is because he has spirit ashes that he summons. And I was ignoring them because my thought was, well, if I kill them, they're just going to come back immediately. Right. That is not the case. If you kill them, they stay dead. He does summon another group of them later on in the fight.
Right.
But when I ultimately beat him is because I got on Torrent and I killed all of the first group of them, so I wasn't getting hit with arrows for the whole fight.
Yeah.
Fought him one-on-one, and then when he summoned his axe spirit ashes, I got back on Torrent, kind of took care of them, and then it was back to a one-on-one fight, and I dusted him. I was like, okay, that felt good.
There you go.
And I'm kind of making my way through a little more. I got like one of the incantations that I really needed for my build, and then I was like, all right, it's time for Radon. And I'm like, okay, solo, we're not doing spirit ashes. And so if you haven't played Elden Ring before, there's two types of summons in this game. You have your spirit ashes, which are like an item that you get that represents like an enemy or a major NPC or like a major boss character you can summon.
Yeah, you can summon some little knuckleheads to fight with you.
Yes, and depending on what they are, some of them are like multiple characters at once that attack as a unit. Sometimes it's just one big character.
Sometimes it's a jellyfish.
Yeah. And you use magic points to summon them, and you can't bring them out all the time, but in the places that you can, they can be very helpful. Usually it's like in large areas where there's a lot of enemies around, or in boss fights. But there's another type of summon, which is like a gold, the gold insignia summon, where it's like NPCs that at certain specific like story points, you can summon for boss fights. And the Radon fight is actually like this big, like, championship thing where it's like all comers, can challenge this demigod for his great rune.
Yep.
And so you start the fight and he's like really off in the distance, and you can summon a shit ton of NPCs to go do it because they're all entered in the tournament.
Right.
And so even though I had told myself that I was going to solo this, it was like muscle memory. I summoned them before I even like realized what I was doing, and I was like, okay, whatever. Like, this guy's so bullshit anyway. Like, I don't think people are going to like fault me for doing this, right?
Right.
He is the perfect example of some of the bullshit that I don't like about games in general, but especially Elden Ring, where it's like, dude is way too fast. Or way too fast for being that big, and way too mobile for being that big, does way too much damage. There's just too many things in his favor that is just fucking bullshit, dude.
Yeah.
He also has gravity magic, so he's got projectiles, but also he can like draw you in closer for moves.
That. Yeah.
And, and again, you start off like across the battlefield from, he also has a like bow and arrow, so that does ridiculous damage if you don't dodge it.
It's tough to time, right?
Yeah. So it's just like a lot of stuff stacked against you, and like I go in and like just get fucking annihilated like over and over, and I was like, I need to come back, because part of it is to me is very much like it's a hit point check.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be able to take one of his hits, and he does a shit ton of damage.
Right.
And I was like, all right, let me go respec again, because when I'd respec last time, I actually put points into dexterity that I didn't need to for this build, and I had also like put more points into strength than I needed. I was like, let me move these numbers around and bump up my health. And then I also did some other stuff to level up a few more times, and I pumped all that into health for all of those levels. And I come back to him. Oh, and that's another thing. So I was watching like somebody, they did like a level 1 run on him, and like they were showing the clip on Twitter of like their fight with him.
Okay.
But I saw him do this thing for like evading and he was soloing it. And I was like, when I'm just watching it from a distance, it seems very doable. Like now I can kind of see the stuff where I kind of panic in the moment because he's so fucking big and so fucking fast.
Right.
And I kind of just like, get like, it would mess with my head.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh no, wait, okay. When he draws you in with that gravity well, you run towards him because then he misses his next attack. Okay. Like that. Okay. And I was starting to get some strategy. And I was like, all right, let me go back. And so I came back and I was like, I'm going to try to solo him. I'm not going to summon anybody on this one. Let's do this. First try.
Yep. There you go.
Fucking soloed him, dude. I felt so good. Like, now I used every goddamn flask I had. Like I was empty by the time that fight was done.
Yeah, you'll have
but I felt so good after that. So I am now, so that is, 50% of the way there for where I want this character. I'm going to park them right, in Mohg's, boss room. But before I get to Mohg, I need to, I want to go all the way through Nokron, which is where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
Then I want to go ahead and do some of the stuff in the outer Altus Plateau and finish Leyndell. Because I think that by that point, I should be at a good level to fight Mohg. I've never had problems fighting Mohg.
Yeah.
Like, I know that he's considered to be one of the hardest bosses, but I guess every time that I fought, the other 2 times that I fought him, I was leveled up well enough to be able to handle him.
If you're leveled up pretty well, he's not too bad, I guess. And he also, if you can hit him from a distance, he just can't really. He has trouble with it sometimes. You can fuck him up pretty good with that. I basically skipped that fight because I special beam cannoned the motherfucker and he just died. I skipped a lot of content in Elden Ring and I felt great about it. It was fun.
No, that's one of the great things about that game.
That's what I like about it. Yeah,
there's certain things that just delete enemies. Now I do know just from like kind of reading ahead that this strength faith build is probably going to make the end part of the game a big challenge because the last few bosses are extremely resistant to faith.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like the first time that I beat Elden Ring, it was the next to, there's three final bosses in a row. The third to last boss like made me cry. Horalu, I had like zero problem with that guy. Mine was the final boss because they actually the final boss is like resistant to like everything except for like physical attacks or whatever. And I was like, my magic is no good here. This is not going to go well. It was the inverse where like it took me like probably like 20 tries on him.
Yeah, but
then I beat the next to last boss on my second try, and I beat the last boss on my first try.
Right.
And then second time when I platinumed it, that was a full strength build, like a 100% strength build. I just annihilated them, like all 3 of them. Like I think I had to. I think the third to last boss took me like 3 or 4 tries, but then after that, it was like first try on both of them. Like I just fucked them up. I don't expect that to happen this time, but that's okay.
Not. Yeah, you never know, though.
And honestly, I'm having such a good time. This might end up becoming like an annual thing for me.
There you go.
Because there's shit that I want to do. Like I want to make a Wolverine build where, because I think there is like hand-to-hand weapons that are being introduced with the DLC, but there's already like claw weapons. And I was like, yeah, that could be viable. Like, I'll start him out as a samurai because Wolverine has messed around in Japan a lot. Yeah. So that would make sense from a character perspective. But then as soon as I get the claws, it'll just be all claws all the time for the rest of the game. It'll be like a bleed build, and probably like he'll be light rolling because he's not going to have much in the way of armor because why would he? Yeah. And I think that could actually be kind of fun.
Yeah.
So there's, and then eventually I do want to take my platinum trophy character, Red Sonja, and like do a New Game Plus with her and see what New Game Plus looks like in that game, because I've never really messed around with that.
Yeah, it probably looks like Elden Ring.
It probably does, Justin.
Yeah. Throwing it up there. I don't know. What do I know?
But that's probably the last I'll talk about it until the DLC comes out. Like I said, I'm just kind of chipping away at it, getting my character in position to be ready for it.
There you go.
And then I'll just kind of park them there and wait for the DLC to come out. And then, I am excited to like experience that content when it's new and kind of discover stuff along with other people.
That's fair. Yeah, I will. I plan on watching somebody else play it, probably.
Sure.
That's probably what I'll do. And then if it draws me back in, we'll go from there. Because sometimes that's how I ended up playing the first one. Because I was just like, I'm just going to watch somebody play it because that'll be cool. And then I watched it. I was like, maybe I could play this one. Let's try it.
They're adding 8 weapon types, which is bonkers to me.
That's pretty crazy.
Because the weapon types, significantly change the way your character plays. So, that's amazing. So I'm kind of curious to see, like, what those even are. Because it's like, Elden Ring already has, like, a lot of weapon types in it. So, I'm really curious what those end up being.
Are they adding a Chrysler Sebring convertible?
Unfortunately not.
Oh, wow.
Mods, though.
Yeah. Well, get on it.
Because people have modded in like the ACs from Armored Core 6.
Why not?
Just to see like what the scale is. Like once you plop like the model for like the Armored Cores into Elden Ring, it really puts in perspective how massive those things actually are.
Okay,
it's kind of cool.
That's cool. Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah, there's some really good YouTube videos about that.
Hell yeah.
But I think that's a show, Justin.
That's a show. That seems good.
Look at that. We actually ended up hitting 3 hours anyway. I really didn't think we were going to get anywhere near. But
yeah, that's because I talked about money making.
That is true.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. We did it.
Yeah. We'll go ahead and start heading out. You can find us online. Justin, where can they find you?
You can find me at Tyrone_Swift on Twitter.com. I'm there sometimes. And you can listen to This Is Video Games if you want to. It's still there.
Yes.
There's nothing new there, but if you never listen to it, it's new to you. So
exactly. There's like what, 5 games that you get in
something
there?
Like that. Good little chunk of something to listen to. I'll get back to it one of these days, maybe. Yeah. Who knows? Or I'll stream the state of Nebraska. Stay tuned. We don't know.
Yes.
I haven't forgotten.
Don't forget to check out the Patreon if you want to vote for what game you want us to suffer with in the Suffer Select for the first episode of that.
Yep.
You can find me on Twitter at Julian_Titus. I'm also on Blue Sky under Julian Titus. The show is on Twitter at Stage Select Pod. Reminder that you can send questions, comments, and concerns via email. The email is the Stage Select. I always forget. The Stage Select Pod at gmail.com.
Good job.
Yes, or at Discord, there's a channel for that. That's all. You can also send questions for Sherwin Williams. He'll be back when he has things to answer.
Yeah.
Thanks again to Megan McDuffie for our incredible theme song and interstitial tracks.
Absolutely.
Thanks to friend of the show John Gholson for our logo artwork and being our announcer.
Absolutely.
But that is going to do it for this edition of the Stage Select. I've been Julian Titus. He's been Justin Ham. We've been the Stage Select. Signing off.
Uh-huh.
The Stage Select is copyrighted and owned by Space Monkey Mafia Productions, specializing in independent podcasting. Please consider sharing the show with your friends and support us by joining our Patreon or donating to our coffee. Thank you, and good night.